Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Our time. We know what we gotta do. Stay in the fight. Keep between the walls.
Time to turn the intensity up.
Fight till the end, no matter what happens. Good day to be in victory lane.
Green flag is in the air.
Driving with conviction.
Side by side, hammer down.
The after-checks are lit. Don't count out anybody. Who wants it the most?
We are eyes on the leader now.
He is driving his guts out. Wheel to wheels, they come to the line. Victory this will be.
Nobody wants it more than you.
Next flag has been ignited.
Does he have enough? A dominant performance.
You gotta say no, baby. Let's go.
Can you believe what you are seeing? Everybody's pushing as hard as they can in one final shot.
You gotta earn this thing right here to the end.
It is all on the table.
A total 500.
Drivers, start your Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into Infinity Broadcasting, and welcome into the Premier Endurance League GT3 Limited Series for Season 8, Round 1 this evening as we go racing at Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya for the first of 5 endurance rounds for us to go racing here. Hamish Runner here with you alongside Brock Kadai as we prepare ourselves for racing across this season. And Brock, as a former competitor of the series, someone who's been amongst this field and amongst these drivers as well, how excited are you to see this season from the comms box instead of out on the tarmac?
G'day Hamish, g'day everyone watching from home. I am really excited to be up in the comms box. This series from the cockpit is always immensely fun. It's hard battling, it's high speed, and you've really got to keep your wits about you. So I'm kind of excited to take a step back, take a breath tonight, and enjoy commentating from up here and watch the action unfold from the comms box with you, Hamish.
Well, we know that from last season and even the season prior as well, how much more competitive this series is becoming, and as well at how much more intense it's getting as well. In the last season, it was a little bit of a championship washout by those drivers of Team Max Boost for Daniel McCrowan and Kane Ryder. But we look to this season, and all of a sudden, the top end of town, the top level of elite class, feels that little bit more competitive, where you've got the likes of Owen Coleman, Leo Dreyer, Greg Barber as well, even John Trott, all trying to contest for that title. And then you look as well to the challenger class and just how much more competitive that's also becoming for this season as well. It's going to be an exciting season. It's one that I think a lot of people are going to be ready to sink their teeth into, knowing the sort of tracks that we've got coming up this season here, Brock.
I completely agree, and I think it's a really good point to make that the challenger class is actually drawing closer to the elite class on pace, and that's something that's going to really play into the race out on track, is how the challengers and the elites interact with each other, and that's something that throughout every season of this championship has been a question, but normally the challengers to be further towards the back of the field. Watch for that to change this season. We're seeing that pace heat up round after round, and I think it's going to come down to some really smart driving out there for these challengers and elites to try and get around each other without taking each other out of this one, because that'd be the ultimate disaster. You're not competing for points against each other and take each other out in your race. You've just got to be careful. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be an interesting track to start at as well, this historic track here. It requires a lot of technical expertise to get the lines right and make some passes happen.
Well, of course, it's listed as the historic circuit, but this is actually the most modern variant of the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya circuit we actually have on iRacing. They've actually now obviously changed to match this layout now in real life, but obviously it's been updated slightly with some slight track changes. But the old Grand Prix layout, which is what is classified as the modern layout on iRacing, it's not modern anymore. It hasn't been modern for about 5 years. This is a much better, much more freer flowing circuit comparatively to that former Grand Prix circuit as well. Obviously we have less turns around this place, but I mean, looking ahead throughout this season, for the next few months, it's going to be intense. Round 1 tonight, obviously for Catalunya. Next time out, August 16th for the Nürburgring for round 2 to round 3. We look to Road Atlanta on September 13th. We don't race at all during October because of the level and amount of special events that are recurring throughout that month. The likes of the Britcar 24-hour, Bathurst 1000, Petit Le Mans as well. So many different events are going to be happening during that time period that it's going to be too hard to line things up. Sebring then returns us at the beginning of November for round 4. And we end it all at the home of the Daytona 24-hour on November 22nd to finish out our year of Premier Endurance League racing for the GT3 Limited Series at the Daytona International Speedway for the 5th round of the season. Looking at this calendar, obviously, Brock, we're not running the full Nordschleife for the Nürburgring. I personally am a fan of the fact that we're not running it, because I think it is actually better for a broadcast perspective to run the Grand Prix circuit / the WEC circuit, which we are running next time out. But also as well, I think it's better for a 2-hour race to run at that shorter layout, knowing how much more intense it can be, how much closer the racing can be, and we're going to have much less of a chance of the field spreading out as what we would have if we were running that full Nordschleife circuit next time out.
Completely agree with you, Hamish. As much as I am an absolute fan of the Nordschleife circuit, and whether it's lapping it or racing on it, it is so fun from a watching point of view, and I think from an intensity point of view for the races, it serves almost a bit of a boring at Nürburgring at the WEC circuit. So from a strategy point of view, from a keeping the pack close point of view, I think that's a great track and is going to back up Catalunya coming into round 2 really, really nicely.
I agree with you. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic before that triple header of US circuits. Corey Lazarus asking us what time the race start is. I'm not too far away from race start, actually, probably only about a few moments away from gridding. and then the race start beginning roughly at about 10 past 8 Australian Eastern Standard Time. We'll have a quick look at the circuit we're at here this evening for Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. Of course, it is a world famous Grand Prix circuit, but also a sports car racing venue as well. MotoGP also comes out here too. We can see that we're not too far away from the France border in the Catalonia region of Spain down here in Barcelona as we trickle our way on down and check this place out. It's obviously world famous for formerly being a Formula 1 testing circuit as well as a Formula 1 Grand Prix circuit, as they'll be moving to the Madrid Autodrome, the Madrid-drome for this year. Opened back in 1991, it's 4.7 k's, 2.9 miles, 14 turns to the good. It all starts in that main straight, and there's a few key areas I think we can look at tonight, Brock, that are going to be key passing areas. The run through turn 1, 2, and then exit of turn 3, from Repsol at turn 4 down to Sayat at turn 5, up around Campsa at 9 down towards La Caixa at turn 10. And then I think if you can get the run through Europe car in New Holland at 13 and 14, you can set yourself back up again down at turn 1 for Elf Corner.
Absolutely, and this is what I was talking about earlier with it's a really technical circuit, so you can't just bomb a move at any point on this circuit. You've actually really got to set yourself up through each of the sectors on this circuit to make a move happen. If you bomb a move somewhere that it's not appropriate or where it's not going to work out for you, another driver next to you can try and get that back. So it's going to come down to a little bit of patience, a bit of that technical expertise, and to make the move count when you get the opportunity. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck behind people.
I think also as well, timing your move correctly as well, and timing it during your run of your tyre life too. Obviously waiting too long is going to lessen your opportunity, and going too early is going to give the opportunity to car that you're passing to get back past you once again as well. And as you said, this is a real setup circuit. You're kind of thinking almost a corner or two ahead of actually where you want to try and set it up, but also taking advantage of the door being open for you off a certain area. I mean, if you don't take advantage down at turn 7, you're not going to get it done up at turn 10. So that's going to be the real challenge for these drivers here today. But it's a world famous circuit. It's one that we're super excited to be out here tonight, and one that we look forward to here for the race start, as well as we look to our starting grid here today for round number 1. It is going to be Owen Coleman starting on the pole position alongside Leo Dreyer off of row number 1. We look back then to row 2 and behind them, and we'll find ourselves to Greg Barber and Mitch Hobbs alongside each other as well. To row 3 in the top 6, we then find Benjamin Wilder and John Trott alongside each other. To row 4 in the top 8, it's Daniel Magri and Jack Vlahovic for the top 8 cars. Making up our top 10 here, we'll find ourselves with Magnus Rowney and Nathan Hodges for an all OPR to 5th row of the grid here, Brock, which it's going to be exciting all the way down to P20.
That's it. Matt Webber starting out of P11 and Scott Rankin out of P12. That'll be an exciting row to watch get off the grid. Got Doug Gowans and Jack Bird in 13th and 14th on row 7. P15 is Benjamin Johnson with Trent Stapleton out of P16 on row 8. Row 9 made up of Patrick Reardon in 17th and Tristan McLaren in 18th. And rounding out our top 20 here tonight is Jake Rebillard and Daniel Piper on row 10.
Well, we'll find ourselves, we look like for row 11 in behind them, of course, it is Logan Murphy and Rue Koistra starting inside, or just outside of the top 20, but inside the top 30 here today. To row 12 and the top 24 cars, Richard Mayer, Brendan Purcell alongside each other. Top 25 is made up by Wade Reynolds, just outside of that Michael Spithill, sorry, just alongside him as well. Making up the halfway point of our grid, Mark Foster, Brant Tucker begins the second half of our gridding here today. Towards the 15th row of the grid, it's Joe Hargreaves and Martin Hallinan alongside each other for our top 30.
Heading to row 16 of this massive field, we've got Adam Gardner in 31st and Janesh Ragwani in P32. Row 17 is Ben Wilkes in 33rd and Stephen Tonkin in 34th. 35th is Rafael Custodio and 36th Matthew Gerard. 37th Alfonso Latella and 38th Kurt Chapman. And rounding out up to P40 here, Brad Coates in 39th and Ben Baker in 40th.
And we've only got 12 cars to go on this massive grid here today. Matthew Becker and Daniel Coleman will start alongside each other out there as well. To the 22nd row of Chris Ruddle and Ronald Long alongside each other. Down to 23rd row, it's Gavin Simpson and Ben Brooks starting alongside each other, as well as we'll find then 24th row of Stefan Mellis, the Belgian out there, one of a few internationals in the field. Glenn Crennan will start alongside him. To our 50th car on the grid, we'll find Nathaniel Coburn and Daniel Fritz starting alongside each other before the final row of Luke Kapotza and Michael Thompson for the 52 souls on board these cars, ready to assault and attack the circuit to Barcelona-Catalunya. And it is always a special time whenever we get to come racing here, Brock, and for all those cars getting ready to start this race and getting ready for that green flag to drop as well, as the circuit is classified as being green at this stage. They'll be expecting some excitement to come, I'm sure, throughout this race, but also they'll be expecting a few dramas along the way as well.
I'm nervously excited for this one, Hamish. Usually the first round of a PEL season brings with it some excellent racing and some pretty scary incidents as the guys get their bearings. It's been a few weeks since the end of the previous season, and I think we're going to be in for some very hard racing, but just some guys working the rust out of the joints in these cars. But 52 drivers is a massive field to be taking on the Barcelona circuit here tonight, and I cannot tell you, even looking into my magic ball, what's going to happen by the end of this 2 hours.
I mean, who knows? You know, we're going to obviously be able to get a much better view of things throughout the race, of course, and obviously get a better understanding as the race goes on as well. A few key rule changes for this season that we need to speak about in terms of pit stops here this season as well. We're going to be looking through pit lane this season quite importantly because of the fact that they've now had regulation changes in terms of when the fuel and tyres are going to be put in and put on these cars as well. It's no longer done at the same time, it's now done separately, so that is going to change things up of when you take tyres and when you don't. It's going to extend your time in pit lane. We'll see what happens throughout the race as we ride up towards the line. Owen Coleman in pole position, Dreyer alongside him as Catalunya gets this underway. Green flag running, and a great start from Dreyer off the front row. Coleman has not quite gotten away as well, but looking behind, you got the likes of Wilder and Hobbs trying to challenge the front row of the grid down towards turn number 1 for the very first time, and the scrambling of sports cars makes their way through turn 1, turn 2. Are they going to keep it neat and tidy, or is there going to be drivers in behind, as there already is? That was Daniel Magri, who's already gone off the road down there at turn 2. A massive contact for the Ferrari, and now down 44 positions off the road for Riot Sim Racing.
Well, already drama early in this one, and the lead of the race, Owen Coleman just managing to hold on to this one by the skin of his teeth, holding on to a Dreyer behind, keeping second place. Drama in the back, as you mentioned, Hamish. So already we were talking about some hard racing, but these guys are already getting into each other and are fighting tooth and nail for their positions, coming to the first half of the lap. First lap of this one. As they come up the hill, they'll jump over the hill here to the right, hard corner on cold tyres to get right, likely to get an off track, maybe even a slowdown on the exit of this one if you are not careful. Mostly line astern racing in the top half of the field, but I am sure back there it is getting racy. Owen Coleman holding on to the lead of this one for the time being, but Dreyer behind looking very racy, and Wilder as well.
We do apologise for that. Those initial blinks that we're getting here at the moment as well. There's not much we can do about it at this stage, unfortunately. Just having some minor issues in terms of keeping all the cars loaded in as best they can. It's one of those difficulties when you get those huge fields at tracks like this. But there have obviously been some issues in behind as well. Brad Coates is now just dropping some positions further down the order as well. It's just outside the top 25. And you can just see the scrambling of cars all together again as well here, Brock. And you know, these are some of the big difficulties that can come from these large grids. A small mistake, you're going to drop easily 10 positions by a very, very tiny mistake, especially early in the race before the field has actually spread out completely. These drivers will just be hoping to keep themselves clean, probably for the first half an hour, I would say, but just to keep themselves in check, in position, and not dropping too many spots too early in this race.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there, Hamish, and I think this is almost a systems check for you. Keeping in mind that this is the first time these drivers will have driven this GT3 car in anger in PEL, and they're locked into this car for the season unless they want to suffer some pretty severe penalties. So now they're figuring out, how does this car handle in traffic? Depending on how deep you are in the field, that could be a lot of traffic. And as you mentioned, you can even just drop a tyre in a sand trap around here. With how tight this field is in the early laps of this one, you will lose heaps of position. Your tyres are dirty, the car's slow, and you're going to be trying to hustle to get back into your spot on the grid here. So it is all about finding that rhythm. getting yourself comfortable with the car, how it's handling the drivers around you and how they're racing you, and then keeping in mind this is a 2-hour race, then you can really start to think strategically about how you take on the rest of this effort here tonight.
That's exactly right. And what we can see is how well drivers can push themselves throughout. I mean, 2 hours is a long time. It's a strenuous time as well. I mean, for those that have done any sort of racing, in terms of longer form racing, knows how difficult it can be when you're racing for more than even an hour. I mean, depending on if you've actually temperature formed your room correctly or not, that can obviously be a major factor. You can see as well that a few drivers will drop some spots here. I mean, Greg Barber's down 4, Romney down 2. Not many of them outside of the top 10. Pretty big major one actually is Daniel Magri, who is now down 35 positions after that contact up at turn 2. We'll try and get a replay for you just to see what actually happened to him, because it was a pretty significant loss off the start of this race for Mr. Magri. As we'll just watch back the race start here, see what happens. So obviously started inside of the top 10, got away pretty cleanly down towards turn number 1, and you can see the scrambling position early, and this is probably going to be the biggest pressure pop moment for the whole field, is knowing this scramble, and if you don't get the start correct, you could give up a heap of time. Tried to go down the inside of those few OPR cars that were within the top 10, and then minor contact. That looks to be a bit of net code actually there, Brock. So yeah, some minor contacts. It's put him off the track, but it's not giving him a minor loss. That is a major loss of over 30 positions to this point of the race.
Yeah, look, and you know what? That sort of contact there is a result of cold tyres as well. So your tyres just aren't ready to give you adhesion even in that moment of contact. So he just would have had no control over that and has unfortunately gone around there. So that'll set up a great last to first challenge for Mr. Magri as this night goes on. Having a look at, we're back having a look at Owen Coleman now at the front of the field, leading the way at the moment, just creating a little bit of a gap to the cars behind Dreyer and Wilder. And in fact, Dreyer under a little bit of pressure here by Wilder while Coleman is sailing ahead. So he's going to be starting to feel a bit more comfortable, Owen, getting into his rhythm here. Owen, an absolute prolific member of PEL, and has been here for many seasons and has shown us what he's made of on multiple occasions. And this is another example of that as he just starts to create that bit of air and get into his rhythm for this race. Dreyer not so comfortable behind as he tries to fend off and get into his rhythm. Won't happen when you've got a guy right up behind you trying to make a move.
Yeah, it won't indeed. You've got to take your time, try and set yourself up well, and just keep yourself in check too. And now this is going to become the biggest struggle of Barcelona tonight. Just keep yourself clean. I mean, we know how well-rounded this circuit is, Brock. It's probably actually, I would argue, the most well-rounded circuit in the world, possibly. I think alongside Bahrain, because the different types of track surface that you can find here, but also the different types of aero movement from the styles of corners and how this track's been put together. It's probably the most all-round circuit, I think, in the entire world in terms of how it affects car performance and car balance. And there's a reason why Formula One's done so much testing at this circuit, the same for the Bahrain International Circuit as well, is because it is so well-rounded. And that can obviously give you some help in a helping hand in when setting up your car, but also it can actually give you a bit of hindrance because it can be very hard to find that perfect balance at a circuit which is so balanced in itself, which can then also hinder you in trying to find some gains across your setup too, or across your lap time. That's going to keep the margins close. And we can see already off this race start, no one's really broken away. The top 9 cars are broken away from the back end of the top 10 in Magnus Rowney. So he's just started to drop back a little bit to Matt Webber ahead of him as cars across the start-finish line once again. And then the pack behind him is sticking close. And then we get to Richard Mayer at a very similar point, is also just starting to drop back. So there's actually these little bubbles and these little blocks of cars that are remaining together, close on pace, close together, and then they're not quite matching the pack ahead of them, so they're all just starting to drop back naturally over time through the attrition rate of this race.
Yeah, that's it. So this is where we're starting to see a little bit more field spread come into this one. As the field now, we're a few laps into this, 5 laps in just about 8 minutes. So this is where you start to see the pace differential come into it. The people who are deciding, you know, I've talked before, this is strategic as well. How much of your tyres do you want to use early in this one? Keeping in mind, as you mentioned earlier, Hamish, on the grid, tyres and fuel are done separately now. So it's actually can be a strategic game to make your tyres last longer, or you might decide, stuff it, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try and use all my tyres and get as much track position as I can, take the risk in the pits where you will need to take tyres to try and maintain some level of car speed. So this is where it's going to get really interesting about the half an hour mark of this race as people start to consider the strategy options they've got ahead of them. Not to mention if any sort of safety car occurs, then a whole other question gets thrown into the mix of, do you go in, do you stay out, do you save some fuel? So many questions go through the heads of these drivers and their teams tonight. And looking out the back here of Coleman, it just looks like I thought he dropped off Leo Dreyer a little bit more than that, but Dreyer's managed to bring it back in a bit here, so he's well and truly within draft range, which is going to help him with saving some fuel as well. So he's done a great job to reel Coleman back in a bit and just stay on him at the moment. In fact, setting the fastest lap of the race so far.
He does 142.56. I think, for my money, the keeper, well, it's going to depend, right, on your natural digression of lap time, right, and if you're going to take tyres or not. The issue then is going to become, though, it takes you 5 laps to get the tyres heated up, so you're always going to have to take 5 laps worth of drop if you're going to be taking tyres. I think the most sound strategy is you rock, because usually within the 2-hour races, it's a 3-stop strategy because of the fuel limitations, normally to roughly about half an hour blocks. Knowing that, I think you just take tyres in your middle stop. You're out your first stop and your last stop, you maybe not necessarily take them, because tyres should be able to last you an hour in these cars. If you can set that up to go to your second stop, I think that's actually the much sounder strategy than trying to take it on your first stop, not your second, and then to take it on your last. I think the only way to do that is if you get a safety car. I think if you get a safety car, you may as well take the tyres on the first stop. If you don't, I think you're better off just taking the fuel.
Yeah, I agree, and honestly, racing, the way I would race it even before this new regulation that's been put in by the admins at PEL was, I would typically put tyres on at the second stop, not because of the time lost in pit lane in previous seasons, but because of the cold tyre loss. When you did come out, as you mentioned, Hamish, that you do lose a pretty significant amount of time, and driving the Mustang, for example, was one of the worst ones where it would take a number of laps to warm up, and that's all lost race time. So that comes into it as well as your pit stop time. But I agree, I think you cut this race evenly in half with your tyres, and that's how you're going to get the best performance out of them as well. I don't think the track temp is too high here today either, so the tyre wear won't be massive on the cars. But yeah, that'll be where a bit of strategy comes into it, those. If anyone decides to do something a little bit different and surprise us, which they might do, they tend to with 52 drivers, surely someone will try to keep us on our toes. But speaking of on your toes, Dreyer again has dropped off a little bit from Coleman. Coleman putting in the fastest lap of the race here. And Ben Wilder just keeping Leo Dreyer honest at the moment. So these guys, they're ebbing and flowing. It's really hard to see who's got the best pace because they're still getting comfortable, and it's really interesting to see how their cars are all handling at this point. Really kind of cool to see. I did want to mention this, that we talked about the different cars and how they handle, and this circuit being a really good all-rounder. There's 4 different manufacturers in that top 5 as well, which is a really cool piece of competitive data for how these guys are setting up their cars and racing them.
Next one, we also find as well, made the classic mistake for Brock, I'm just going to call it out because I'm unmuted my mic. So I was commentating and I hadn't even unmuted it. Oh, the ebbs and flows of live TV, of course. The point I was making, though, to only my cat who was alongside me whilst I was talking then, the one Corvette, the top 10 obviously is Mitch Hobbs at this stage. The next one we find is Doug Gowan's back in P13. So, but then it's not too far behind. We obviously find Ben Johnson, who's leading the Challenger class at this stage. But we look at the top 16 cars, it's covered by 4 different manufacturers. It's not until we get to P17 of Rue Koistra that we find the first Mercedes in the field and that 5th different manufacturer in the field as well. Also shout out to Cher, obviously Rue's mum. She's been through it lately. I believe she's just had some surgery done too. So we hope Cher's going well. We know she watches the broadcast with us. We hope that Rue can do well tonight. He's already up 5 into the top 20. It's been great to see. Great to have Cher watching with us once again. He's out in the chat, giving the update on us, just so we can get the sound set up properly, obviously, with getting Brock's commentary up and running to a nice and sound level, mixing well with the cars, mixing well with myself too, so we appreciate the share. We hope you're doing well. Behind him, though, is when we get to the next set. Obviously, Wade Reynolds, P21, Richard Mayer, P23. That's the first Porsche, the first Lambo. And we finally finally, Brock, we finally have an Audi in the field. Kurt Chapman, my GOAT, giving us the only Audi in this entire field back in P28. It's great to see. He's up 10 at the moment. Actually, yes, he is. He is the only Audi. I was going to correct myself, but no. The only Audi in the field, and the only Aston Martin in the field, Nathaniel Coburn, back in P50. So we don't have, I don't believe we have every manufacturer represented, but we've got the majority. We haven't got an Acura. That's the only one I don't believe we have, or a BMW this season, which is a bit disappointing. BMW's often been one of the better choices in terms of well-balanced cars, but unfortunately with the BOP currently, it's not that well-balanced, and I don't think the Acura has been competitive for about 2 years, so... But it's good to see the Audis back on the field, though, I must say. It's good to see that out there.
Yeah, completely agree. I love seeing the variety in cars out here. I mean, it's the beauty of GT3 racing, isn't it? How many different manufacturers can compete and compete well. And you've got the two teammates here in Chapman and Coates side by side, so to speak, or nose to tail. Oh, and Chapman's just gone a little bit wide. This is what we were saying earlier. You get in the dirty stuff there, and you're going to lose positions. He will lose out here. Tonkin will go through. Purcell will have a better run as well through this last turn here, and I reckon Chapman is going to lose more here. Tonkin didn't actually get past there. I thought that was a slam dunk move there. Chapman's done well to gather that one back up, only losing the spot to Coates at the moment, and he might hold on to this down into turn one. I'm sorry, the Audi, I misunderstood you, Mr. Chapman, and the Audi. That was a great recovery from what I thought was going to be losing at least 2 or 3 positions. So, well done, but it does show you just how quickly it can change. A minor mistake like that, just running a bit too wide, and all of a sudden, you're losing positions. And Chapman already looking to the inside a little bit here. Nope, he's trying to defend. Tonkin down the inside. He didn't get the move done before. Can he get it done here? If Chapman can stay alongside, he will still have the overlap down into turn 5. Someone having an absolute drift session in the background there. Chapman will hold on to this, but certainly still under threat.
He definitely is Kurt Chapman feeling the pressure. And you see Tonkin, he's not happy. He's flashing the lights. Oh, say what you want, Tonkin. Chapman defended it cleanly, and he did well to defend it cleanly as well. He's been a driver on the rise of the last few seasons as he drops position now behind Tonkin. Former Project 36 driver, of course, left the team to go become a privateer, joined Revolution E-Racing at a point in time as well. So he's definitely got a lot of experience. Former champion in the likes of Porsche Cup racing. He's challenged and won a championship in some NASCAR racing as well. So Chapo's got the skills. It's whether he can put all those skills together and find himself in a title-winning position this season. He's a little bit off the pace at the moment comparatively to the race leader in Owen Coleman, but right now he's winning the race in my heart, Brock, because he is running the Audi. So that's, we don't often show favouritism. I will show a little bit of favouritism if someone is bold enough to run the Lamborghini that handles in the Audi.
You know what, I'll allow it, because it's the battle for the heart that matters. Despite the fact we're racing cars here tonight, you got to appreciate the effort to try and make a car like that work. In the background there, Gardner and Purcell battling it out as well behind Chapman, so I'm sure he's got his eyes glued to the rear vision mirror just watching that unfold like live action TV as we are watching it unfold here as well. But great to see he's taken on the Audi mantle for this one. It'd be great to see how that car goes throughout the season as well. Gardner in the background looking really racy, that Mustang serving him well. And we can see as well towards the front of the field there are plenty of Mustangs up there, so certainly a platform that is bringing some racing speed into this first round of Season 8 here at Barcelona. Relatively unchanged at the front here, so I wouldn't surprise me if Ben Wilder, he's using a bit of logic, reason and strategy here. He's just staying behind Leo Dreyer. There's no point to be making too many crazy moves this early in the race. It's a 2-hour race, so let's just settle in, save some fuel, maybe try and save some tyres, not pushing too hard, and not let the rest of the pack catch up behind, because battling, despite the fact it's pretty fun and intense and makes great TV, does lose you a lot of time really quickly.
It does indeed, and I think that, not only is the strategy good, obviously, to maintain pace, maintain speed in the background as well, as soon as they start battling, they're looking at Owen Coleman, that gap's already grown out to about 1.2 seconds. As soon as they start to battle, it'll grow out to 5 seconds before they even know it. I mean, that is the reality. There's no point in them trying to battle on track right at this point of the race. The more important thing for them to do is to strategize, plan for how they're going to attack the rest of this race. The one thing we're probably going to see is Wilder's being able to save some fuel behind Dreyer. That's a pretty important factor for the Mustang, knowing that it burns the most fuel out of the entire field. If he can save fuel in this car, that's going to give him a significant advantage in pit lane ahead of Leo Dreyer, the South African, just ahead of him. This is going to be a very interesting pit stop when we get to first stop in about 12 minutes time. No safety cars to speak of just yet either, which has been great to see. It's been cool, green flag running all throughout. It's an all-international podium at this stage of the Australian Wilder, the South African Dreyer, and the Kiwi, Nolan Coleman, making up the top 3 at this stage.
That's it. You said it earlier. You said about the first half an hour of the race, it'll take for them to settle in, get to know the cars, and then after that, we can start really going for it. And I think that's what we're seeing here is everyone's getting settled in. Yeah, a couple of mistakes here and there, but nothing too crazy yet. The pit stops are where we'll probably see the field get shaken up a little bit, depending on that tyres versus fuel gamble that people decide to take. So it wouldn't surprise me if, not necessarily in our top 3 here, I'd imagine honestly they will try to follow each other's strategies pretty closely to keep those gaps down. But throughout the field, I think we'll see some movers and shakers in there to try and make up some positions where you can, and hopefully get a lucky safety car for some of them as well. Ben Wilder there just poking the nose a little bit. He was having a sniff, didn't end up going through with it, but was having a sniff on Leo Dreyer, just thinking about could a move happen here. Would have been risky because he wasn't quite far enough up there to really get the brakes going, particularly on the McLaren, but interesting to see him looking now. A bit of impatience starting to creep into the race here.
Yeah, you can see he wants to make this move happen. Get that Mustang up into P2 and trying to chase down Coleman. Maybe Wilder feels he can match the pace of the race leader more than what Dreyer can. I mean, the last lap by though, Dreyer was the faster of the 3. He managed to set a 1:42.50. The other 2 were 5.6 for Coleman and a 5.3 for Hobb, for Wilder, sorry. So Dreyer has actually got the pace over them at this stage, but maybe that's becoming a bit more tough for Wilder to manage. He can't quite have enough pace to get past Dreyer, but maybe at the slower points of the track where Dryer's not matching his pace, maybe that's where the frustrations are coming from as well. So we've hit the 20-minute mark of this race. We've still got an hour and 40 minutes to go. As drivers are just trying to keep themselves neat and tidy before the first pit stops coming up very shortly here in Barcelona, of course. And Brock, it's a great place to start our season. We know that we're going to be ending it at a home of sports car racing. We go to Daytona International Speedway on November 22nd as well. Only a short European run to start out the season after the European run that ended last season as well. It's good to see some US track representation once again though throughout the final 3 rounds of the championship through Road Atlanta, which will be the sprint round this season. 2 1-hour sprints to come your way at Road Atlanta, and then obviously the home of the Sebring 12-hour and the home of the Daytona 24-hour. And out the championship too. It's going to be fantastic. But yeah, at this stage of the race, a little bit of spreading out happening. Intrigued to see what pit stop strategies are going to come here and how they're going to plan around strategizing their race for the next hour and a half after the first pit stop.
Yeah, that's it. Good to see these drivers here we're watching up the front. So Dreyer and Wilder and Coleman and then Hobbs in the background there. None of them look to be pushing super hard, all keeping it relatively under control. Not too many slides. The rear end isn't kicking out too much. We'll go a bit further back in the field here to 12th with Scott Rankin. Let's see what we can see here. It's a bit deeper in the field, a little bit more traffic around. Definitely a bit more going on. Having a look at the man himself in the car. Looking very serious underneath that race helmet, I am sure. Interesting to see the steering inputs there as well. Not a lot of effort going in. That might have just struck him an off track there. You can go pretty wide there, but if you hit the curb too early, the off track will bite you. But not quite close enough here to go for a move. That is an overtaking opportunity if you're alongside. Not at the moment though. This is actually a pretty line astern lot of traffic. Again, some smart racing. If you ask me, if I was in the cockpit right now racing these guys, I wouldn't want to be pushing too hard or making any silly moves. So I think this is just some smart racing from this group of cars, trying to manage your tyres and get this car as long as you can into the race.
It's one thing we can notice too, if we compare to last season, the differential of car choices. There's actually a much fairer spread across the field now. Namely, I want to mention this because, of course, we know that Scott Rankin drove the Corvette last season. This season, obviously, he's taken over the McLaren. But there's a much larger spread of cars now. And the main 3 that I'm noticing across this field is obviously the Ford Mustang, the McLaren, and then as well the Ferrari 296. It's great to see the love for the Ferrari once again. It has become possibly another meta car choice after the Spa 24 Hour, as Rankin is struggling to get past Nathan Hodges here just ahead of him. He's feeling the pressure from Doug Gowans and Jack Bird in behind as they put the pressure here on the Logitech G ODBM driver out on the field as well. Tries to continue to push this car forward at this stage, but yeah, really good to see it's not Mustang Cup all over again, or even Porsche Cup, which we've seen previously in the series. It's good to see that we're getting a nice little field spread of the Mustang, the McLaren, Ferrari, even the Corvette with good representation this season, the Porsches as well, and of course it's great to see those Mercs, Audis and Lamborghinis in the field too.
Yeah, for sure. As I said before, this is what sports car racing is all about, the depth and breadth of the field, so that you see all these different manufacturers going at it and somehow all racing fairly. It's really a token of the sport and how it's managed in the real world and in the sim world here. I think Scott Rankin's got himself in a bit of trouble here. That move he tried to make on Hodges has just set him back a bit over the second half of this lap, and it's actually weakened him. I was holding my breath when he went for that move down at turn 4. On the last lap, I was convinced there was going to be contact, and luckily he just pulled out of it enough. But because he had to pull out like that, it's caused him to lose a little bit of time here. So he's going to have to... Looks like he's held off Gowans and Bird behind for now, and now he's going to go back after Hodges again. He seems to be making up a good bit of time in turn 1 and 2 here. So let's check the run through turn 3. We mentioned the exit of turn 3 into turn 4 is going to be one of the key spots to watch. I wonder if Rankin can get enough on. No, he hasn't. Hodges has managed to get a far better run through there than he did last lap. Rankin's still going to try dive for the apex. I reckon he's playing some mind games at the moment. He's trying to make Hodges drive in the mirror and make a mistake somewhere here soon. Nothing's going to happen there, but it's really interesting. He's keeping the car to the inside for a little bit longer before going to the racing line. That's a real mental play to try and distract the guy that you're racing.
Important point as well, just quickly here, Chris Ruddle, first pit stopper in the race on a lap that was not lap 0 here. We'll see what sort of lap time, what sort of pit stop time he puts in. So to give the numbers here for us actually, because we are going to get into pit stops relatively soon. 24 seconds or less, they've only taken fuel. More than 24 seconds, they've taken tyres. Now, that can then obviously go up in a rate of a very odd amount. 7 seconds is a singular tyre, 12 seconds is 2 tyres, 21 seconds, sorry, is 4 tyres. So, thinking of that, a maximum fuel stop time with tyres should be 45 seconds. Chris Ruddle's pit stop was 18.9. He has opted not to take tyres in the stop block. He's only taken fuel. We know this because they are now done separately, and tyres are done last, just how they used to be done in iRacing special events. So we've gone back to the old ways of the GT cars, gone back to the old ways of pit stops. It's going to open up strategy options once again. It's also going to open up the options for some dramas in pit lane. Do you make the right call or don't you make the right call? Time will tell, but for Ruddle, maybe a sign of things to come. It's only fuel in his first stop, and I think majority of the field here, Brock, are going to pull off the same strategy. It's going to be fuel here, tyres the second stop, fuel in the end. If you can somehow make your tyres work across a stint and a half, maybe you only take fuel in the next stop as well. I doubt you're going to get much gain though of double stint of tyres at the end of the race.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this will be the strategy we see roll out, and that'll be keeping your tyres as fresh as they can for the end of the race. The reality is that these days, PEL, it's a bit of a weird one. It's an endurance race for a single driver, but really the way I view it is it's kind of like a little sprints within an enduro, and each stint you do, you've got a different mindset for how you're going to go out there and attack it. And this first stint is keep your tyres nice and fresh because you've got to take them to the middle of the race. Then in the second hour is when you really start to make some moves that'll count, because that's when we're starting to get to the end of this thing and where it matters when you're losing time. So interesting. Chris is our first example of what a driver might do. I'm sure we're going to get many more in the near future because these guys won't have heaps of fuel left in the tank. But I'd imagine we'll see majority go for fuel only. And that'll be, as you said, around that sort of 24-second mark if they go for the full tank. But curious to see if any do go above that and do decide to take even just 2 tyres or something like that to keep the car fresh.
Well, we'll see what choices drivers are going to make across that first pit stop here tonight, and I agree with you. I mean, it always feels like almost a race of four different little sprint races that you're running across the night here, Brock, and whether you can put the pieces across the pieces of the puzzle across that stage to win yourself the race at the very end, that's going to be the important factor here tonight. So we're right on board with Rui Koister at the moment, on board the top position Mercedes in the field at this stage. He's up 15 positions into P17, 7 away from the top 10. We've seen him had strong runs in the past. His last race win came at Silverstone in round 1 of season 6 of the GT3 Limited Series, so we're hoping to see him get another race win before this season is out at the very least. Otherwise, he would have gone a full year in Premier Endurance League without a race win by the end of this season, and that's what we want. That's not what we want to see happen for Rui. We want to see him get a race win if he can. With only 5 opportunities to do it, it is time. It is running out, but it's tight time that is running out for this season of him to get that race win that he's waiting for. But this stage sitting strong here in P17. Maybe if he could pull off a fuel miracle, if he could pull off a pit stop miracle, might find himself inside of the top 10 by the time we get to the halfway point of this race.
That's exactly it, and having raced against Rui, I love racing him, and he has got a heap of speed underneath him. Like, if I saw Rui coming up in my mirror, that was always a moment where I would say a little sweet nothing to myself, because I'm like, oh, he's going to be racing me. Like, he's going to want a position, because he'd always have speed. So you never quite count Rui out of a good result, because he works the strategy well, and he knows how to get the most out of whatever car he chooses. And that's what makes him a little bit scary to race against. If you're not quite feeling it on the night, it's almost like he senses that. I know that sounds silly, but when you're in the car, it's almost like he senses when you're not quite feeling yourself, and he just knows how to take advantage of that weakness. So he'll be one to keep an eye on. Already having a fairly good run here tonight, but I'm sure more to come from him too.
Oh, I'm sure there is, and I'm sure that there's more that he plans to put into this race. Of course, when we're only a quarter of the way through, as Ben Brook enters pit lane for Frog League Juice Racing, a strong supercars competitor in the likes of, well, fellow channel viewers of Infinity Broadcasting will know him from his time in Split 2 of the V8 Veterans. You also get to see him here in Premier Endurance League for the GT3 Limited Series as well. He's now in pit lane for his first stop of the race. We'll see what sort of time he puts into that car and how much fuel he puts into that car as well, and whether tyres are going to be going on board that Lamborghini. It's an audacious choice to take the Lambo, knowing how I wouldn't say unreliable it is, but maybe how difficult it can be to predict how it's going to go. That can often be one of the struggles to deal with that Lamborghini. It's a 26.6 second stop, so it's fuel only for Ben Brook. No tyres going on board that Lambo as he exits pit lane. Not too far ahead of this man, Owen Coleman, the race leader. When will he bring it into pit road for the first stop here tonight, as we have hit the 1 quarter marker of the race, 31 minutes down, with only 90 more to go, as first of the top 15 is in, as Doug Gowans comes down pit road on board his Corvette.
And I don't think it can be underestimated, your entry and exit, in terms of your total pit time. And the entry to the pits here is quite fast. You come off the second last corner and you go along the inside of the last corner. So it's a really interesting pit entry, and you could very easily get a pit lane speed penalty, but every millimetre really matters as you're coming into the pits here. And same on exit, getting that pit lane speed limiter off as early as possible can make a real difference to how you come into turn 1. So there goes Gowan there now. So he did 30, looks like he did about 30 seconds.
20 seconds. It was 20 seconds. Got
20 seconds.
Brett, yes.
There we go. So just fuel only.
Yeah, fuel only for him. So not too much of a surprise. He comes out amongst it with the likes of Matthew Bakir, Ronald Long, and Stefan Mellis out there as well. It's going to be a tight battle for him. It's a good job he actually came out away from traffic. We can see those two teammates of Bakir and Long running together, and then Mellis, who is down the order tonight, the Belgian, didn't have the race he wanted in his home race out at Spa last season, as Baker's about to exit pit lane, fuel only for him too. So I think this is for certain going to be the play of the race here, to only take fuel. If we see anyone take tyres, Brock, I think we could almost put a nail into their race almost, because if everyone takes fuel and you're the only one that takes tyres, you're going to be well at the back of the field, well down the order, and even a safety car won't save you at that stage. So the only way they could do it is if they were to run tyres from the first stop to the end of the race. They couldn't pit for a second time for tyres. That would destroy them.
Yeah, and I think that's almost like your safe strategy at the moment, isn't it? So diving a little bit further into sort of the tech stuff of it, like actually how does a race like this unfold? You mentioned it earlier, so you've got 3 stops and 4 stints almost. You start to your first stop, then you've got your couple of middle stints there, and then almost your sprint to the end, which can be anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes, depending on how your fuel saving goes, whether we have any safety cars, anything like that. As we kind of touched on, tyres aren't really the thing that stops you running as long as you want to in this series. It is the fuel. So I believe it's about a 60% fuel limit for this round. So what that means is that every car is capped at 60% of its total fuel limit. So that's why these cars, for people who might not know out there, that's why we're not running massive long stints like you might see in an endurance, a special event on iRacing. That's why they're short and sharp, roughly 30-ish minute stints, maybe 35 depending on how you go with the fuel saving as well. So that's where we're talking about tyres, and that's the real dilemma in it. Now that you've got to take tyres and fuel separately, it's not so much of a no-brainer like it used to be where you go, oh yeah, we'll probably take tyres anyway because the fuel's going to cover it. No, you will lose time, and you need to back yourself to gain that time when you do go back out on circuit, and that's a real gamble to take, particularly as you were saying, Hamish. If you take those tyres in the first stint, you've kind of already used up that time that you would use throughout this whole race. That extra, I believe it's an extra 21 seconds to take 4 tyres. You've used that. You've gambled it, and now you've got to try and make your tyres last to the end. And if there is a safety car, then that is going to mean you are vulnerable at the end of this race. So that's why balancing the strategy is really important, to make sure that you've got good tyres on, enough fuel to get to the end, and something to battle with if something does go wrong and a safety car comes out at an inopportune time, because otherwise you are just dead weight and you will be threatened by everyone around you who is on a better tyre.
That's right, and again, balancing that strategy, balancing when you take tyres and fuel, that's going to be the key factor. Tyres are going on board Mitch Hobbs' car. This is possibly a crucial mistake here in this race, because he was inside of the top 10, in fact inside of the top 5. Is this going to be a race killer? Well, it's only 2 tyres. He hasn't actually taken a full set. So is he maybe going to balance it out by maybe taking rear tyres here on this car? Is that the sound play? He's only given up 12 seconds to do so. You take some rears now. You take rears at the end of the race as well. All of a sudden, you're only giving up enough for 1 tyre stop. That could be the workaround here for this differential of strategy throughout this race here, Brock. But that is one that we almost completely overlooked, was the fact you could just take 2, and he would have only taken rears. There's no world in which he takes fronts, because you're not going to run the fronts down nearly as much as you run down the rears in that Corvette, and very unlikely you're going to take right or left sides. So that's a very interesting strategy, as we see the front runners are now in as well. Coleman is in, Dreyer in, Wilder. So pit lane all of a sudden is going to be a very interesting place to keep an eye on, because if these guys take tyres comparatively to Mitch Hobbs, this is going to really change up the race. But if Hobbs can make those fresh rear tyres work for him, he may be in a benefit here comparatively to these guys. Exiting pit lane there, you see, as well as the car down the order. That was Glenn Crellin, who was a lap down. But Coleman only fuel for Dreyer, Wilder for Hovich. Webber's only taken fuel as well. So is this the sound strategy for Mr. Hobbs, or is he just given up 12 seconds too many at this stage of the race?
I think that could be one that's going to be interesting to answer, because we won't quite know that until later in this one. You know, that's the thing, is it's a gamble at the moment, but we won't know until the end. And it's an interesting one on the tyres, is that if you take pure tyres, left sides would actually not be a bad choice, because there are a few corners around here that definitely eat up the left-hand tyres. That'd be, you know, turn 3, turn 9, down to the final turn as well. They're high speed and would really eat up those left sides. So if you wanted to try and get tyres on but not do the full set, that would be a way to do it. So I just noticed as well, Tristan McLaren was up on the jacks in the pits too. So there are a couple more. There's another driver who has taken the gamble on tyres a bit earlier than what we would have thought, but does that pay off for him later in this one?
was the same as well for Kurt Chapman. He's pulled off that similar strategy as well. Greg Barber's in, John Trott in now as well. So we'll see what this strategy looks like for them. This is a very... I mean, this has now opened it up for us here to have a very interesting pick here. We've even seen in the chat left side tyres get punished a lot more here. So again, I'm leaning now towards that left side as possibly being the choice that we've obviously spoken about, Brock, instead of the rears. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting choice. He has obviously given up a lot of time. Would he have been better off giving it up under a safety car than giving it up under green flag running? That's the question I ask you, because not only has he given up 12 seconds, it's 12 seconds on track time. That's so much he has to make up, where if it was under a safety car, you give up 12 seconds, but you shrink that gap by about half again by the time the safety car backs the train up. So it's a bold and interesting strategy, but it's one that some drivers are looking to pull off here. Greg Barber has taken over 38 seconds in pit lane. Same for John Trott. So OPR have taken that strategy of tyres, and that's paid off for them. It's also kept them ahead of Ben Johnson and Mitch Hobbs, who's right there in behind. So this is a very bold and interesting strategy for those that are taking tyres. But for OPR, they may look to make this work, as Johnson just trying to sneak his way on by here for the Challenger class race leader.
Interesting. So we just spent all this time. We thought, no one's not going to take any tyres. That's their first stint. Who would do it? But OPR, oh, geez, they must have heard us and they're trying to prove us wrong or something, because they are out there. They're taking tyres. They're taking this strategy. So now we have a few different layers of strategy unfolding here. A lead pack and elite. Fuel only, just about all of them, only fuel there. Whereas we've got this pack here with Ben Johnson here, who are with drivers behind, who have taken tyres as well. So this will be one to watch here in this second stint, if they manage to eke a bit more time out of these cars, or if that tyre differential isn't big enough yet and it's not going to pay dividends. So although I say that, and look at Mitch Hobbs coming through, so those two tyres that he put on, absolutely working dividends at the moment, and he continues to carve his way through these cars that have just pitted.
Well, you got to remember as well, his tyres are a few laps newer, a few laps older, of course. He pitted on lap 20. Those guys have only just pitted. So his tyres would actually be up to temp at this point for those left side tyres. So he would be at the benefit now of having the better tyres on board his car compared to them. And we're going to see a direct comparison here between his car and Greg Barber's of what new tyres look like for you in this race. We've had an incident here where we've actually lost some car sound. I do apologise. I don't know why. It's just struggling to hear the car sound at this stage as we run it through turn number 1 for Mitch Hobbs. And he gets that job done past Greg Barber. Well, we have actually got car sound for Owen Coleman, so that's good. But very odd when technology decides to not play ball with us, Brock. We don't like it when that happens, and for some reason it's not wanting to play ball right now by giving us car sounds.
Technology is one of those things that's great when it works, and when it doesn't can be a real pain to deal with. Makes me glad I'm just the one yelling into the microphone and not doing all the tech stuff like you, Hamish. But watching here, Hobbs, so those tyres are working well for him at the moment, but really good point you made, Hamish, that of course they're going to be up to temperature after a few laps already on them. So this is where we might see that difference start to come to life a bit here. Barber will have his tyres coming up to temperature now. Over the next lap and a half, I think you'll start to see that warmth come in, the speed come into his car, and already he seems to be just ranging up on the back of Hobbs here and looking to make a move. It won't happen here, but I think you can definitely tell that car is gripped up and it is looking fast at the moment. So we know Greg Barber is very well capable of good results in PEL. Over the last couple of seasons, he's had some real great runs. And here tonight, I'm sure will be no different. Just looking at the front of Hobbs, but now out towards the helicopter view here of this battle pack here for 9th at the moment. And just behind, we said it before, Rukawistra up into 11th at the moment too. So very much hovering in and around that top 10 as we expected him to be.
Well, what's probably actually dragged him up the order here is this differing strategy that he's taken compared to these cars, of course. I mean, he has not taken fuel. Sorry, he hasn't taken tyres in that last stop, but he has taken fuel. These guys obviously have taken some tyres. So those differing strategies are then going to give you better track position. And that's probably one factor we haven't actually thought about either, is Greg Barber is having a minor off-track down there. They're getting a bit scribbly and squirrely here in their battle. But yeah, the one thing that we may not be thinking about here too much, actually, Brock, is what about your track position? How is affecting your track position going to affect your race as Kurt Chapman runs wide down at the final corner? That car is struggling to get going once again as he tries to get it out of the sand and back onto the tarmac here off the final corner.
Yeah, this has not been Chapman's night tonight. A couple of those little run-offs. This Audi just not seeming to be very comfortable to drive. And he's done well to gather it back up and not end up losing the car and getting it in the wall or anything. But it's just not really agreeing with him at the moment. A shame to see, because we know Chapman in previous seasons has been an absolute force to be reckoned with. And I've had some very good battles with him myself, and very respectful battles as well. So hopefully he can work out the gremlins with that car and get himself back going again. Further up this grid. Still a long way to go in this race, so anything can happen. And to your point about track position as well, it is so critical, even on a racetrack like this where passing is, well, I won't say easy because passing a car is never easy, but it is easier than on tracks that are a lot tighter. It is still important to have that ability to defend your position whenever you need to. And as we're looking here, will Johnson defend his position? This is interesting. No, he won't. That's all right. He's got the speed at the moment to stay where he wants to, so he's just going to stay there with Hobbs and Barber in close pursuit. And just letting everyone know, while we are having some technical difficulties, Hamish is working in the background feverishly, I'm being assured, to try and fix those ones, guys. As you can understand, this is a big operation, a lot of cars on track, and the sound will be back. We do apologise for it, but stick with us. In the meantime, you do have the dulcet tones of myself, Brock Cadet, and Hamish Munro in the comms box to keep those ears busy with these massive battles on track at the moment. This is a great battle pack, these two here. Mitch Hobbs looking to the inside, not going to make it work there. Jeez, he'd be brave to try and throw a move down the inside there. Coming over the hill here, this is a really good opportunity to get a run and try and make a move into the hairpin here. Doesn't get the run he probably would have wanted out of there, so Johnson might just hold on to this, although Johnson... Oh, yeah, he's going to. Hobbs is having a look here. Not close enough there, but he's wanting to make this happen. Getting a bit squirrely off the corner as well. Really pushing this thing at the moment. So depending on what tyres he's taken, either he's going to have great rear grip and not so good front grip, or great left-hand side of the car grip, but not so much through left-handers.
Yeah, we'll see if he can maintain this grip here as well. And yeah, unfortunately, this is an iRacing issue that I've never been able to fix on the fly. Unfortunately, this is something that it'll randomly fix itself if it decides to, unfortunately. So we do apologize for the lack of car sounds here. This is like, it's not even a issue of the stream. It's the issue of I'm not getting any sound at all out of my iRacing. So I don't know why. It's very, very weird and random. The only way it can get fixed is by leaving the session and returning to the session. And I don't particularly want to have to do that, because then we're going to lose some racing action. If it comes down to it, though, and that's the only option we have, then that's what we're going to have to attempt to do. But what we can try and do is we can go to an ad break very quickly, go to the intro screen, we'll leave the session and come back, and then once we return, we'll hopefully have sound once again and able to watch the racing with you here once more. And if it doesn't work on that attempt, we're just going to have to stick with it, unfortunately, because we don't want to have to be jumping in and out of the room, or in and out of the iRacing server just to get sound back when we're going to be missing out on racing. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be back very, very shortly. We're just going to do a quick reset of the session, and we'll be back quite shortly here for Premier Endurance League GT3 Limited Series for Round 1 out at Catalunya here for first round of the season. Welcome back in to Premier Endurance League GT3 Limited Series Round 1 for Season 8 here at Catalunya. It's Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, in fact, for the first round of the season. We've got our car sounds back. Off a quick restart. We've got everything sorted, so if it happens again, you know what's going to happen. It's going to be another ad break here for the GT3 Limited Series. Touching wood, fingers crossed, all that jazz. But we don't have to do that again because we don't particularly want to have to do that again, Brock, because then we're missing out on some hot racing action. And the one thing that we've missed here over the last few minutes is this tightening battle between Ben Johnson, Greg Barber and Mitch Hobbs just inside of the back end of the top 10.
Yeah, that's it. And at the moment, the guy with the pace is Greg Barber, which doesn't surprise us in the slightest. We were just singing his praises, and he is looking very, very racy on the likes of Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, our lead in Challenger at the moment, so I don't suspect he'll fight this too much because he's perfectly happy. He's lead of his class by a fair while, and there you go. It's as simple as that. Greg Barber flies on through there, puts himself up into 8th position, and Ben Johnson continues to lead the Challenger class with, he is about 8 positions ahead. So 7 positions ahead of his next competitor, something like that anyway. So he can just continue to cruise on here, not get himself involved in too many silly incidents. This is what we were talking about earlier. Although these are all GT3 cars, we do actually have 2 classes within this field here, Elite and Challenger. So depending on who you're racing on track, there's a real thought process that goes into how hard do I need to race this driver if they're an Elite and I'm a Challenger, or vice versa, or do I just get in behind them and see if I can use a bit of draft, save some fuel, be a bit more strategic with it. That's what Johnson's done here. So watch to see how his pace goes, but in the background you still do have Mitch Hobbs looming and waiting and might be looking to put a move on Johnson sooner than later too.
Yeah, well, we'll see if he can. I mean, the fresh tyres are starting to come into their own. The problem I find here is, Brock, is are they going to reap enough benefit? They pitted back on, let's say, between lap 20 and 22. We're on to lap 31, so we've got roughly 13 more laps on this set of tyres. What happens when the front runners put their tyres on? All of a sudden, you're going to be on the back foot again. The issue then is going to become is you've got to try and chase down a 12-second deficit that you've put upon yourself by taking tyres on your first stop. Are you capable of doing so? Or have you shot yourself in the foot by taking this extra 12 seconds, offsetting yourself, putting yourself back again with bad track positioning? And are you then hurting yourself throughout this race as we run it towards turn 1? Trent Stapleton is going to get down the inside of Root Hoystra. That's the differential of fresh tyres versus old tyres. No one's taken a full set. And I think the only world now in which these drivers that have taken tyres are going to get the benefit on the race leaders in particular. I think they've obviously gotten some benefit over those that didn't take tyres who were down the order. Fair enough. But the only world in which they now get a gain on the race leaders, i.e. Coleman, Dreyer, Wilder, Vlahovic, and Yowan's down the top 5, is if they take a full set of tyres. It's the only world in which this works now. If the front runners take a full set and these guys don't take tyres for the rest of the race, all of a sudden they're in a great position knowing that it stayed green the whole time. That's what they've got to be banking on now, is that the front runners are going to take a full set of tyres and that these guys can hang on these fresh lefts for the rest of this race.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that they've almost they've shot their shot essentially at this point with the strategy. And look, the reality is, I think this is part of the fun of this new regulation change. If I can say fun because I'm in the comms box, not in the car, but they are. Well, we've got a bit of a battle going on here too. Is that Tucker and Latella?
Yep.
Taya? Yep, those two were. Geez, that was some very, very heavy battling there. Tucker, a good friend of mine, but also a hard head out there on track, and he knows how to try and defend. And as you can see here, just because you're towards the back of this field doesn't mean you're not going to make it hard for the guy behind to get past. So this is over 30th position at the moment, and Tucker is not making it easy for Latella to get past here. Latella, a little bit of Morse code on the bumper. If I can remember it correctly, it's saying bump, bump, I'm here, bump, bump, I'm going to try and get past you, if I've translated that correctly for the audience. But great battling, always awesome to see the intensity up and down this field.
Matt Webber's now coming to pit lane as well. He's had some blinking issues and he's still having them. These are actually connection issues that he's having occurred to him now, so he's actually had to come in to get that fixed up. There's Luke Kapotza, just up the road from this improving battle further behind too. So the teammate of Brent Tucker who pushes on here ahead of Latea, and Brad Coates in behind them as well. So again, hopefully Webber can get that sorted out, get that fixed up, and he can push on for the rest of this race. This battle though between Johnson, Hobbs and Rowney continues to heat up at the back end of the top 10. Greg Barber has now broken away significantly over Johnson, and he's got that gap at now about 3.5 seconds already over the old tyre runner. So if Barber can gain another 9 seconds on Ben Johnson, all of a sudden the tyre change was worth it. And all of a sudden he's made significant gain back up to where he was, but he's having to drive his way there instead of strategizing his way there. Is that going to work out for him? We're going to find out in roughly 10 laps time if this was the sound strategy or not. And I'll be honest with you, Brock, I'm leaning the way of it wasn't. I don't think it was. I don't think there's enough time for them to make up the time lost in pit lane, and I don't think there's enough pace on board these cars to make up for that either.
No, I would agree there. I think that the balanced strategy is probably the one to go for tonight, considering we've got fairly decent track conditions. We've got no safety cars so far. We're nearly, if you can believe it, we're nearly an hour into this thing, nearly halfway at the moment. And there's your temperatures there on the right. So 33 degree track temp isn't too bad. It's certainly not as hot as iRacing can get, but it's definitely not cold. But this is the thing, is this sort of battling we're seeing here at the moment with Barber and Bird, this is going to eat his tyres up, but it's also going to lose him time back to Johnson behind. So the more he battles here, you can tell Barber has pace, but if Bird's not on board with the whole, hey, I'll let you by thing, let you fly on by, then this is going to eat up time, and it already is at the moment. So this will be curious to watch as to where Barber can get a move done. The sooner the better for Barber, that Bird doesn't care about his tyres or his strategy, about Barber's strategy, excuse me. All he cares about is his own race at the moment, and that's what he's racing for here. So not going to be a move done here, although Barber definitely becoming the shadow of that Mustang, despite the McLaren shape of his car. Got a little bit wide there, so that's going to ruin his run here through the last couple of turns. Will make it pretty difficult to get anything done. Maybe down to the turn one, if you can get the run. Those new tyres definitely look like they're helping with the positioning of that car.
It is. One thing we know is we have a new feature to use this season, and that is the ability to drag people in whilst they're racing. I'm actually just looking through the list because I don't just remember that we're able to do this. We've got the go-ahead from Ricky O'Connor. But watch through this battle first as Greg Barber looks to go for it down the inside towards turn one on Jack Bird. The fresh tyres have finally started to come alive, and Greg Barber moves his way now into P7. And up the road from him is this man right here, Scott Rankin. And the one thing that we know is we put a message out to the people. Let us know you're able to be dragged into the booth and we'll drag you in. And guess which team has got green next to their name right now? Rock?
I'm going to venture a guess that might be Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport.
Oh, indeed it is. You know who's aboard of that team? Part of that team. It is
One Mr. Scott Rankin.
It's one Mr. Scott Rankin. So we're going to see if we can drag him all the way down here. So we can have a chat to him during this race. Yes, we can. Very good. Here we go. We're going to give you a pre-warning, Mr. Rankin. We've dragged you into the booth because you had green on your team room. Welcome in. We wanted to quickly drag you in. First of all, to ask you how your race is going. Second of all, to ask what the pressure's like now, knowing that Mr. Barber is chasing you down on a fresh set of left-hand side tyres on board that McLaren.
Here's the thing, I don't think we're actually racing him. You know, we've got a strategy. We're driving into our strategy window. Doug ahead of me is probably a race target. He's less fuel than I have, so he has a fuel debt to pay. So right now, Greg's not in my brain, not in my thinking. Just keep putting my lap. And the biggest thing at the moment is the tyres are scruffy, but coming to me. And I'm liking a McLaren with scruffy tyres that's coming to me, baby. This thing's going forward.
It sounds... I don't know, is this the Scott Rankin strategy here? It sounds like a smart racer's on board this car today, Brock.
Yeah, Scott, it sounds like, mate, we were expecting you to be thinking, oh yeah, Greg Barber coming, mate. You're all over it. So I want to actually ask, because you said you've got a strategy coming into today. Is that something you and the Orbit Drop Bear guys talked about before this race and just sat aside and went, okay, how do we tackle this race now with fuel and tyres being done separately?
Yep, yeah, absolutely. And the big thing was temperatures. There's a lot of different elements that play into that one. You guys are actually really helping at the moment because having someone to chat to is locking me in a bit more. So just as long as I drive within my limits at the moment. Yeah, look, it was a little bit difficult because we were in and around guys that were fuel saving a little bit earlier on. Oh, traffic. Thank you, Stefan. So I was actually struggling because I was quite hard in the ABS end of turn 1 because I'm catching guys at a high rate of knots. That are fuel saving, and that really put some heat through the front tyres, phased them, had to protect them a little bit. I had some moments where I was struggling quite a lot for traction. I've had to tinker around with the way that I'm driving the car, you know, using everything that I've got available to me, and that's one thing my spotter said to me as well, mate. You've got a bunch of tools here, let's leverage them. The big thing, these guys that have taken tyres, they're in trouble because overtaking's been so difficult for them, so they're naturally going to trend you know, that's not giving away my strategy, that's giving away theirs. So the tricky thing is, we're talking about at the end of that first stint, mate, overtaking's difficult. What can we do to not have to overtake race cars? I sat behind a car, I reckon I was probably 4 or 5 tenths quicker than for a very, very long period of time because just couldn't get close to him with the dirty air. So it's just brain, put it all together. So, yep, done that. Very, very happy.
So, we're not going to ask you what your strategy is going to be when you come to pit lane because obviously we'll have that question answered for us in about 10 laps' time. And we don't want you to have to give that away to people out there in case it does affect your race. One thing though
how about this? So I'll make it simple for you, Hamish. I'm bringing the car to pit lane and we'll do a pit stop. There you go.
There we go. Fantastic. That's great.
You heard it here first, guys.
Strategy. Yep. That is a monumental development, of course, that they're going to be coming into pit lane for their pit stop, which is good. You want to be doing that instead of going to the catering area, of course. Scott, still a long race to go. You're in a pretty solid position right now. I mean, this car could be good enough for a top 10 today. Hopefully you can put that together in the second half of this race.
Mate, target's probably, I think we're top 5 capable. I've got to put the whole race together though, so that's what I've got to do and got to manage as well. That left front starting to ask some questions of me as a driver. So, you know, head down, buckle up and see what we can do. And a big shout out to everyone who's actually supporting me over on my personal stream today as well. A lot of support, and it's actually been nice to get back to streaming as well. So thanks, boys.
Very good. Well, we wish you the best of luck, Scott. Thanks so much for coming over to chat to us. Scott Rankin, driver.
Hamish, don't lie to me. Don't wish me luck. I know you don't.
I do. I genuinely do, Scott.
No, you don't. Don't lie to me, Hamish. Thanks, boys.
No worries. Thank you. Well, one thing has come from that, Brock, is we got an interview out of it. The bad thing that came out of that was I've just lost my sound again. So...
Oh, you're kidding.
That's fantastic, isn't it, when that happens? Great. What we'll do is we'll wait till after these pit stops. Once the pit stops have happened, we'll fix it up again because we don't want to have to miss anything because pit lane's going to be one to keep an eye on in this stop. So we'll keep with it for the next 10 or so laps. When we get out to about lap 50, that's when we'll do the changeover again because I don't think anyone's going to go to lap 50 for their next pit stop in this race.
Yeah, I think I might need to use Cher's suggestion of going yow yow as all the cars go past, just to create that ambience and that atmosphere we need. Mitch Hobbs has just gone off, I believe, at turn 2.
He did go off. That was a pretty significant off as well for him down there. So he's gotten going once again. Let's have a quick look at what's happened in this moment for Mitch Hobbs. He was battling away with the Orbit Drop Bear car, not the OPR car, sorry. And that was some significant netcode contact, I believe, with John Trott that has caused that car to go off the road. And netcode's been a factor tonight in the incidents down there at turn 2, namely in the lap 1 incident down there involving Daniel Maggery, and now with Mitch Hobbs' incident down there as well.
Just having a look at that one there now, yeah, you're very right. Definitely.
Hang on.
Look, it's a hard one to say.
We found a fix. Just quickly, Brock, we found a fix. The replay fixed the sound. I don't know how we did it.
Oh,
but
great.
We did it. Yeah, we did. So hopefully that's a remaining fix for us in the future.
I'm going to cross my fingers and hop on one foot for the rest of the broadcast, and hopefully that keeps the good luck with us in the comms box. I was just reviewing this incident with Hobbs and Trott, and it just looks like, really, although there was a bit of netcode there, the gap just closed a bit too quickly for Trott, is the reality of it. Excuse me, that was actually Hodges down the inside of Hobbs there. So Hobbs has turned in for turn 2, and although it was a bit of netcode there, Hodges really, I just don't think he was up quite far enough, so I'll be curious to see if Race Control has anything to say about that. but he really had to mount the curb to try and get out of the way of Hobbs. So that was an interesting one. Unfortunate for Hobbs because he was trying to make that strategy work, and now off the track, dirty tyres, he's lost time. All that effort he's put in with those 2 tyres has pretty much just gone out the window now.
Well, one thing that I'm noticing too is that we had the question in chat, what happened to Rook Oyster's pace? His tyres have fallen away from him. He's now been in the pit lane on lap 36. So he's actually had to come in about 8 laps shorter than the cars can actually run. They can all run just over 20 minutes, just over 20 laps, sorry. He's come in about 8 laps too short. Not that it's too short for his race, because he can still get home from here. Obviously, we've still got one more pit stop to get these cars home. The important fact of him, though, is he's taken tyres. He has taken left sides, at the very least. 2 tyres, 39-second stop, just under 40 seconds. So knowing that, there is another thing that he could have done, because he can't fit as much fuel in the car, Brock, because he came in earlier. He may have taken fuel to fill the car, and he may have put 4 fresh tyres on it, knowing that he can't actually fill the car with fuel. We'll see if that was the case. Obviously, throughout this race, I think he probably did do that, because you take 24 off 39, that takes you down to 15 seconds. Knowing that he only went roughly 14 laps, that would equate to about 16 seconds worth of fuel that's needed in that car. So I think Mr. Rook Oyster has taken a full set of tyres on board that Mercedes.
I reckon that would be some pretty sound strategy there. And this is where we're going to expect those longer stops to happen with, as you said, taking on either full fuel and 4 tyres or less fuel and 4 tyres as well. So is Zach Chapman off again there?
Yep, it is. And that's down at turn 5 or turn 4. So that's not what Chapman wants to have happen to him. It's just a slight little wide run down there, I think, and looks to be self-inflicted for Chapo. Oh, actually, that was massive net code.
Just spun on him.
No, that looked like massive net code. We're going to pull the illegal tactic of just reversing it back here, because let's look here. Was there contact? No, he just lost on his own. Okay. I was going to say that was very, very weird to have happen like that, but he just carried a bit too much speed through the corner.
That's it. He's just a bit too much speed, a bit too wide there, not really on the rubbered in line of the camber of the corner, and it's just gone at him. Did a good job to save it there instead of the car just flicking all the way around on him, but just, a bad night getting worse for Kurt tonight, and I'm sure this one, for his sake, will be his drop round, and the next 4 to come after this are going to be absolute bangers in the Audi for him.
Well, Rook Oyster has had a minor mistake down at turn 10 as well. He's gotten the back going again, but yeah, it's important to maximise when you use that drop round, of course. You don't want to be taking it too early in your season. You want to be keeping it in your back pocket, because otherwise you're going to be putting yourself under pressure throughout the rest of the season. Magnus Rowney now is being put under pressure here from Mitch Hobbs, who made a minor mistake earlier on in the race. Certain cars are at obviously a much better advantage over others. We saw as well, whilst we were chatting to Scott Rankin, that Doug Gowans had finally come into pit lane. He's taken a 42-second stop. So again, he may have taken 4 tyres. We can definitely say he's taken 2. Whether he's taken 4 or not, though, I'm not 100% certain, but time will tell. Knowing that it was a 21-second stop, 4 tyres, and he took a 20-second stop last time, I actually wouldn't put it past him to have taken the same amount of fuel, but have taken 4 tyres on board this Corvette.
Yeah, it's the time to do it. And keep in mind, Gowan came in a few laps ago as well, so that I don't think he would have burned off all of his fuel. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's got 4 tyres on that thing, and he is now racing around and won't take any tyres for the rest of this race. That would make the most sense to me at this point, and then we'll expect another pit stop from him probably in the next 20 to 25 minutes, and expect a lot of the rest of our field in very, very shortly, as they start to run out of fuel and probably all put tyres on it. I imagine we're going to see a lot of cars up on the jacks in the next 5 to 10 minutes as that fuel starts to run lower and lower. Another, looks like Ben Brooks coming to the pits as well for his next service.
And one thing we know, Brock, is, well, actually, no, one thing we know is one thing we might be looking forward to here is Patrick Reardon sets the fast lap of the race, 142.17, so it's good pace on board that car. What I'm seeing from Doug is I think Doug's actually trying to effectively split his fuel evenly across the race. He's taken obviously 20 seconds in the first stop, has taken roughly 20 seconds in the second stop as well. That's taken him out to about lap 35 at this stage. I have a feeling that Doug is trying just to split this up into half-an-hour blocks, just to make it easy for him on the fuel strategy. here today. I think that is the current strategy for him, knowing this race has gone green. This is often a track that stays green as Ben Brook is up on the jacks, and he's up on the jacks now for nearly 45 seconds. That is 4 tyres on board Ben Brook's car. It's the first guaranteed stop that we have today of 4 tyres, as Mitch Hobbs is back in once again as well. So let's see what sort of strategy comes off this car, because we know that he previously has taken 2 tyres. So if we see him take tyres again, he may be hurting himself here. I would expect this, though, to only be a fuel stop for that Corvette of Mitch Hobbs.
Yep, I would expect the same. Currently, that's what we're seeing in the background. The other car there has jumped up on the jacks. Hobbs, we're waiting and watching. He's gone up on the jacks as well, so he will be taking some level of tyres on. See how much that is, but he's decided to do tyres again, and honestly, after that spin into the gravel, it doesn't surprise me that he needs some there. Back out on track at the moment.
He's taking a full set just very quickly. Full set of tyres on board that car, so that's a bold strategy for him. Johnson's done the same thing. Ultimately, what Mitch Hobbs has done now, though, is he's given up 12 seconds extra in this race, and that has probably killed his chances at a top 10.
And that's the strategy gamble. And, you know, maybe there's a safety car later in this one, and then that helps get him back in with those fresher tyres. But I think for the time being, it's everything's staying pretty clean out there despite some really tight battles. So, unfortunately, for the time being, it looks like he may have taken the gamble and it's not quite paid off yet. Still 49 minutes to go in this one, so I never say never, and it's not over until the Fat Mustang sings. So we are going to keep on watching and see what comes from that. Having a look at Logan Murphy now, who is the lead of the Challenger class at the moment. I believe Ben Johnson having pitted just a lap or 2 ago. So Logan has taken on that lead at the moment, albeit with Tonkin right up behind him. This is an Elite versus Challenger battle, but I'll tell you what, the Elite or Challenger badge doesn't make a difference when you've got pressure from another car right up behind you. So Murphy isn't going to be thinking, oh, I can take it easy. He's going to be pushing on, going, oh my goodness, Tonkin is right up behind me. I need to get a wriggle on here. And Tonkin's probably thinking, can I just get through on this guy? I'm trying to get up the field to battle my Elite people up towards the top 10 here. So really interesting, again, this race dynamic that comes into it when we have 2 different classes, same vehicle in the GT3, but different points classes. Important to remember here. Tonkin having a little look. It's not going to happen at the moment, but certainly looking racy and like he wants to make the move on Murphy sooner than later.
That's exactly right. We'll see if he can make this move fairly shortly. Obviously, we mentioned the fact that we've had a full green flag race thus far. No sign of the Sudspeed Gloves safety car here today at this stage of the race, of course, and Catalunya is not normally a track that does lead to safety cars. Obviously, it normally has wide runoffs. The only chance we ever really have of it is if we were to have a blown engine down towards turn 1 or turn 10. See Tonkin now just starting to put the pressure here onto Logan Murphy as we ride on board with him up towards turn 12. Murphy holding on strong here ahead of Stephen Tonkin. And the JWM driver just unable to put the pressure right up onto the back of the Mustang as they ride through turn 13. Once again, and into pit lane comes Murphy and Tonkin as well. So Tonkin very likely was wanting to get past just to make sure he had a clean and free run into pit road as they'll bring it down pit lane once again. We want to give a shout out, of course, to the title sponsor of the series, Dash Offroad, have been around for a very, very long time in support here of the Premier Endurance League GT3 Limited Series, as well as Horsley Park Gun Shop has come on board this season, as well as Podium Printworks too. They've come on board for this season, giving us some lovely trophies, it must be said, for this season for our drivers out there as well too Scorsa, who's come on board as a technical development partner in the series as well. They'll be trying to bring out some new things that we'll be able to use in future on the broadcast, and as well for drivers to use in the field too. So massive thank you to those guys, and to Sudspeed once again for being the safety car sponsor, of course. And if you're liking what you're seeing, you can help support us here at Premier Endurance League by hitting the like button and subscribe to the bell icon too, so notified whenever we go racing. Next up on the docket for you is the Open Series when they come here to Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya for the first round of that series as well. Of course, that one will be broadcasted by our friends over at SimSpeed TV. You can also help support us in Infinity Broadcasting by clicking the like button and subscribe to the bell icon too over on our channel here on YouTube. We've got some great racing to come up for you. Tomorrow morning, 9:50 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, we've got High-Side Motorsports action coming your way from Homestead Miami Speedway for their final round of the in-season tournament. And Saturday evening, 8:30 p.m, we've got the SimRigs V8 Veterans action coming your way once again for season 28 out at Shelby Pound Motorsports Park when we're racing out at the GT circuit, the full bean circuit of Tailem Bend, for their next round of that Split 2 season as well. Myself and Brett Fisher in the booth for that one. It's been an exciting race thus far though, Brock. One that we've seen throw out a whole heap of different strategy plays as the race leader Owen Coleman comes in. I'm intrigued and excited to see where these strategies are going to play us to the end of this race, because I think we're only going to get the true telltale sign of where drivers are sitting after the final pit stop. But with 45 minutes to go in this one, knowing that the race leader has just gone to 1 hour and 15 minutes into this race, could he make it to the race end without another stop?
It's going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging because not having done a full fuel stint yet with the 6% fuel cap in practice for Open next week myself, but normally around that 60% you're looking at the 30 to 40 minute mark for a stint. So I would honestly expect that he might need to come in for a splash and dash, and I truly mean a splash and dash towards the end of this one. I don't know if he'll be able to save enough fuel without a safety car. Throw a safety car into the mix, and I reckon he's good to the end here. The tyres will be fine to the end. It'll just be about conserving that fuel. The thing that he's got going for him at the moment is pace and time. He's got the pace to stay ahead, and he's got some nice gaps around him at the moment when it comes to his key competitors. So that will be really benefiting him at the moment. Excuse me, in the background here, watching Gerard pulling aside for Gardner there, so not sure if potentially that's a redress or something similar from an incident before, but he's popped out of the way as all these drivers. Keep in mind, we've got a kind of a mixture here of drivers who are on new tyres, old tyres, really old tyres, or somewhat new tyres, just to keep things confusing for you. So in the foreground here, we have got Brant Tucker and Daniel Magri duking it out. Magri, after being at the back of the field, working his way methodically further towards the front after that lap 1 incident, getting the move done on Tucker there relatively easily, albeit these are not class rivals, so smart racing from both there. Tucker knowing that his race isn't with Magri, and Magri getting the job done quick. Speaking of Tucker, he's into the pits, he's had enough, he's going to get that next stop done there.
He wasn't happy either. He was flashing the lights at Magri for some reason, but why flash him if you knew you were going to be coming into pit lane? That doesn't really make much sense to me. As pit stops now occurring for Scott Rankin, Greg Barber and John Trott and others in behind as well. Rankin leaves pit lane, takes those tyres on board that car. Barber has taken tyres again, by the way. So all of a sudden you then question what was the point in taking tyres on the first stop, because all of a sudden Scott Rankin, who wasn't classifying him as a on-track rival today, all of a sudden he is an on-track rival, because now they're both on the same strategy of fuel and tyres on this stop, only 2 tyres to both of them. They sit with Doug Gowans, who's taken 4 fresh tyres on board his Corvette, and all of a sudden the battle for inside of the top 10 and inside of the possible top 5 is on between them.
And you know what? I actually rate this from Barber because he used his tyres really effectively to get up the field, and now he knew everyone else around him was almost certainly going to take tyres. It wasn't a guarantee, but he knew it, so we know he has pace under there. So taking the 4 tyres now gives him an opportunity to actually truly fight against the likes of Rankin and Gowans ahead of him too, and try and get a top 5 in this race. You know what? I don't think that was the worst play from Barber there, and watch to see how this unfolds, because as you said, Rankin didn't think that Barber was in his race, and now I would argue Barber is well and truly in Rankin's race for the top 5 of this one, and has pace underneath him.
He does, and we know he's got pace on board this McLaren, obviously, as the pit stop up the field. That's Luke Potts up now down pit road, so Daniel Piper is now the race leader, by the way. He does need another pit stop though. Owen Coleman will retake the race lead after these final pit stops. We're waiting for Daniel Magri to come down pit lane as well. The current top 3 is Coleman, Wilder, Dreyer. The current top 5 includes Doug Gowans and Scott Rankin, who have strategized their way up the order here today in race number 1 of the season. We have got 40 minutes on the clock. A pit stop within the next 30 seconds will mean that you can make it home. Are you going to be willing to do it now, or you may be hoping for a yellow flag and a safety car? If you're doing that, I think you're playing the game of going as long as possible, hoping you can fuel save the car to the end. But what do you do in the scenario of an extra lap? What do you do in the scenario of overtime? Do you push it or do you hang on as tight as possible? Just see what happens in terms of fuel strategy here today. Here we see Magnus Rowney battling away with the Challenger class race leader Benjamin Johnson, who's dropped a few positions in this race. He's got Rui Koistrom behind him. Next closest in class cars behind him is Mark Foster and Logan Murphy, who are battling for P2 on the road at this stage. This is a podium battle between the both of them, and this one looks to be heating up for the final Challenger class positions on that podium.
And Fozzie's a hard fighter. I love racing against Fozzie. He's so much fun. Now, hard but fair, and you can see it's exactly that here for this second place in the Challenger class at the moment. Logan in that big banging Mustang looking for opportunities. He's going to throw it down the inside at turn 5. Not quite going to get it done there. Has had to pull out of it, but Fozzie's gone wide. He's out wide there in the weeds, so this will be done for Logan Murphy. I don't think Mark can fight this back. No, that's for second in Challenger. So great work there by Logan. He threw the nose in and just threw Foster off a little bit, and that's what got him the second place in the Challenger class there. Great racing to see, and they all kept playing on. We love to see it. Watch for Foster to just try and stick with him and maybe make a move here, but I think Logan's done everything he needs to do to secure that second place in class. So
again, both these drivers on that same strategy, full set of tyres on board these cars. After that last pit stop, they'll get by Stefan Mellis, who is the lapped traffic in this race at this stage. They push on once again. They've got plenty of time to try and chase down to get up to Ben Johnson in the race lead of that class at this stage, including 4 elite class drivers separating them as well, who are on the tail of Johnson, who's holding his own amongst this field. As coming out of pit lane now is Daniel Magri, who, what a race this could have been for him if he hadn't have been hit on lap number 1 at turn 2. Would have been up and around the top 5, maybe have even challenged for the race lead, and now he's battling for a top 20 finish today. It's a great recovery drive, but it's still a question of what could have been for the driver of the Riot Sim Racing Ferrari out there today, and whether he could have put all the pieces together at some stage as well. But yeah, he's doing everything right here to at least make backup positions that have been lost, but not enough to get back to where he was, unfortunately, for him, as Joe Hargraves has run it wide down at the final corner. It's an interesting spot to make a mistake. I think we can both agree here, Brock, to run it wide at the final corner. It doesn't often happen, but you can see there, I think a little bit too much pace on the entry to the corner has cost him that mid-corner speed and cost him, importantly, the mid-corner grip, and that's what's thrown him out wide.
Yeah, I completely agree there. He just never got into the actual groove of the corner there, and that's he was up on top of that yellow sausage curve as well, and I wonder if that's just kept him a little bit high and wide on the entry. Fairly innocent, innocuous incident there. It was just a little bit too high and wide, a bit too much speed, and in a corner that relies so much on sticking into the groove and that camber. As soon as you're out of it, and it was also a bit of kitty litter down there, a bit of sand trap muck, that was all she wrote. So anyway, got back going there, held onto the car, and will carry on there in 38th place overall on the road. So, whoa, this is a gaggle. My goodness gracious. Oh! Gardner around there, contact with Tucker by the looks of it there. So just around what we were watching with Hargreaves, that's Tucker, and Tucker, oh jeez, I don't know what to read into that there. It looked like a bit of a squeeze. Tell us what you saw, Hamish.
Yeah, well, and actually, did he squeeze? I think he actually lost it as he went wide, actually. So we may need to go back here a little bit further just to see, because it's a very awkward angle. There was a bit of a squeeze from the Ferrari. That's then loosened up the Mustang of Gardner, and he's then gone off and into the sand trap. But that is a wild moment as that pack of cars, we clicked on it at the right time. They were all getting feisty together, but that has really opened things up in terms of who's in and amongst that battle pack at this stage of the race. As Richard Mayer comes into pit lane, as does Chris Ruddle, but the close battle is still continuing up here as John Trott, Tristan McLaren battling side by side. Look at the cars behind them: Rowney, Johnson, Koistra, Hobbs. They're all fighting for this as well. This is getting tooth and nail stuff inside of the top 15. It's not even for a race-winning position, but it's about pride, it's about ego, and it's about whether you're able to put it all on the line. As Koistra looks up the inside at turn 10 on Ben Johnson, he'll get past the Challenger class leader. He'll look to fight on as Hobbs looks to make it a 2-for-1 special up there as well. Gets by at turn 11. And all of a sudden, Johnson's down 2, Hobbs and Koistra up 1, and Spithill's wondering where he could buy a ticket to the race to get his car past too. And I think the car at the back of this train is actually Kurt Chapman, who is the lapped traffic in this field, but they're getting feisty at the front of this train here. Look at the defensive move of McLaren all the way to the left-hand side of screen, right-hand side of track to hold off OPR's John Trott.
Might just do it here. Trott is going to try go around the outside at turn 1. Brave move. They're going to make a bit of contact. No, they don't. They keep going. What a move from Trott around the outside of McLaren through turn 1. He wanted to make sure he got through there in one piece. McLaren trying to get a massive run off of turn 3. See what he can do down into turn 4. Trott, I think, is pretty protected here. Excellent racecraft by these two. Millimeters in it, and they make it happen. Hobbs and Rowney side by side through turn 4 now. Looks like Rowney's going to keep that one there. Hobbs looking racy in behind though. You do have Johnson, who Hobbs just passed, but Johnson has not dropped off. He is still wanting a piece of this action. Every position he gains is better for his Challenger Championship as well. So they are fighting, as you said before, Hamish, tooth and nail out here. We're nearly within half an hour to go of this one, and I reckon they can sense it. It's in the air. They know this first round of Season 8 is coming to an end, and every point counts, and you can't convince me otherwise.
That's right, every point does count. We know it counts, especially with the limited amount of races that are on offer this season, and as well as the limited amount of points, the two. As we're right on board at this stage with Rowney in amongst this battle, you can almost feel the electricity and the energy coming off these cars as they fight for position. You see there, that was the tail of Koistra just wanting to try and almost spit out on him through turn 11, but he kept it under him at that stage. Then you see McLaren as well just getting a little bit of oversteer off the exit of turn 12 or turn 13. They come around 14 to the main straight. And you see how wide they're running into the kitty litter out there. And luckily they haven't dropped any on the floor, but at the moment Hobbs is struggling for pace. He's trying to cover the inside line to Ben Johnson on the outside. It's a Corvette v Corvette battle. Hobbs will hang on to it at this stage, but look up the front. Koitra's trying to go for a big move here on McLaren and Rowney. He looks to get it done round the outside at turn 3. Does the Mercedes driver, gives a little bit of contact with McLaren, gets the job done. Move made for Rui Koistra. He's up 8 now to the top 15, and right now Rowney and McLaren are battling hard in towards turn 4. Gets it done, does Rowney. Hobbs will come by as well, but that is how crucial momentum is. That's how crucial it is to hang on to your momentum, because all of a sudden, McLaren is under massive pressure. He'll somehow hang on ahead of Mitch Hobbs, but he very easily could have lost it back there.
Absolutely, and this, as you said, momentum matters, rhythm matters, and McLaren in the last couple of laps has lost that with so many people getting past him, pushing him aside and making these passes happen, and now he's having to fight off Hobbs. Hobbs, who is looking to make up for being spun around earlier on. He will feel spurned, like he needs to earn a bit more out of this race to make it worth it. So he's going to look, I thought he was going to throw a late move down the inside there and really make Tristan's life hard. He didn't, but he's looking racy. Ben Johnson behind all of this, still hanging with this pack here. Kurt Chapman, the lap car behind, wondering, oh my goodness, what are these guys doing? They're racing hard. It's all to play for here, and they really want to make these positions worth it. Side note, Owen Coleman has just come in and done his final Splash and Dash pit stop. So that is the first of our stoppers, and we're starting to see a few more cars come in.
That's it. Rui Koistra, John Trott have just come in as well. So they were in amongst that tight battle pack. Getting out of it, I think, is probably actually a smart move for them, because they're going to save a little bit of time now by getting some better track position whilst this battle pack continues to fight. It's unbelievable how close it has been and how just energetic this battle has been between these guys. I mean, we've still got half an hour of this race to go. It's not even for a race-winning position. It's for a minor position, all of about P13. And the fact that they're fighting for it tooth and nail.
Sorry, Hamish, I think I just heard race control call safety car.
What? Oh, I think I know why. It's that right there, Daniel Fritz. I saw that he had dropped off the road, and if they have called safety car, this is very significant, and I appreciate you pointing it out there, Brock, because this is a big moment. I did see he had an off track, but I was so enthralled with that battle, I didn't want to have to click away. So this is what happened. He was actually already going slow, and that, I believe, was Martin Hallinan in behind him, who actually made the contact. So Fritz was already going slow at that stage, and I want to try and listen out here to see if he actually already brakes the car. Oh, he ran out of fuel. I think he ran out of fuel. That car was out of fuel, not moving, Hallinan had nowhere to go and made rear end contact onto that car. This has all of a sudden completely changed the game if this has thrown a safety car out for us. Because that car is not going anywhere, and the safety car is on circuit.
Wowee. This is really interesting because Owen Coleman had just pitted then. I'd imagine we're going to see a few pitters, but interesting. Barber, Vlahovic, and Wilder have all stayed out. So that's fascinating at the moment to see. So this is where those strategies come in. And did we not say keep half an eye on Barber in this one? And look at where he's at the moment. So some people are going in, they're getting the fuel on board, which will guarantee them getting to the end of this race. And there are a couple of drivers taking the gamble. Why not? Give it a go. Let's see where you end up. So that's going to be a really interesting one to watch once this all gets started again. Most drivers will be on fairly similar tyres, and I don't imagine you would take tyres under this safety car. But splash and dash, yes, or fuel save something severe. Turn the car off, cruise it down a hill, do whatever you need to do to try to make it to the end of this one.
Well, think about it. We're not actually having to save fuel for laps now. We're now are actually having to think about the time loss. Because the time loss is more significant here. It's not the lap loss that's significant, it's the time loss, right? Roughly speaking, depending, let's say we have 3 laps under the safety car, we're going to lose 10 minutes of racing. 10 minutes of racing is enough for those who haven't pitted here to actually make it home, Brock. That's the slight differential that they're playing. So for Greg Barber, Vlahovic, Wilder, they're at a, well, actually no, for Vlahovic and Barber, because they're the top 2 have not pitted, they're playing the gamble game of trying to get themselves home on the fuel they already had. Hodges is trying to do the same thing. But the likes of Wilder, who's jumped Coleman in pit lane, the likes of Dreyer, Gowans, Rankin, a lot of other drivers too, are trying to force the issue. They've put the fuel in their car so then they don't have to save themselves to get home. The one difficulty I see with this is, and the one problem I see with this is as well, Brock, is Doug Gowans, who I suspected was running that split strategy, is running that split strategy. He didn't adjust the fuel, though, for the time loss to the end of this race. So he's probably put a little bit too much in that car, but it does mean he can push on now. So those that have pit have stopped themselves from needing to worry about saving. Those that haven't should be able to make it home, but it's still going to be tight margins.
And I think that's going to be the game changer, is the people that have pit can push. There's no doubt in their mind, I can get to the end of this thing, I can push on, rev the thing all the way to the end of the rev range in each gear, brake as late as you can. There's no lifting, there's no saving, just go after every position that you can get in this one. For the guys that didn't pit, there is going to be a question mark. Because keep in mind, one thing I will point out is if they are using the iRacing fuel calculator, that will calculate fuels based off of the safety car laps as well, so it won't quite give you a 100% accurate reading as you get to the end of this one, which I've had happen to me before and nearly run out of fuel in one of these races too. So they just, even if they think they're okay, they're still going to be thinking, oh, am I actually going to make it to the end, or am I still going to have to save a little bit? And that'll be where guys like Owen and Wilder up the front of the field are going to be able to take advantage of that little bit of weakness, that little moment of indecision or saving, and try and get a move done here. I think we are on for an absolutely stonking battle for the top 4 to finish this one. Give it a 20-25 minute sprint to the end. Yes, please. Let's see how this goes.
So I think the other important factor here too is as well, Brock, is not only is it has your auto fuel calced correctly, right? Let's say you don't have an auto calculator. Let's say you have a spotter. The difficult part of a spotter's job right now is calculating how much fuel you need to cover the time loss. Because you've lost 10 minutes, you've then got to figure out how many laps takes up 10 minutes of proper race time, and it's roughly 5.5, maybe 6 laps, right? It's roughly 6 laps for 10 minutes here at Catalunya. You're losing that 10 minutes every 3 laps under this safety car. So if it lasts 3 laps, you're losing 10 minutes. You've then got to try and calculate, all right, so we're actually only using 3 laps of fuel, but are we really using 3 laps of fuel because we're running at a much lighter rate? I think if you come in fuel and you put fuel in the car, instead of having to put 6 laps in that you would have to for this 10 minutes, you've probably only got to put 2 laps of fuel in the car. And if you haven't calculated that properly and you've put too much in, You've made the car heavier than it needs to be. You've probably given up time in pit lane you didn't need to either. And you've put a little bit more pressure on yourself to get these cars home.
And that's the beauty, the mystery, the terror of a late race safety car is you might do it perfectly, you might stuff up the fuel and either put too much on or too little, and then you're too heavy or you're too light and you need to take a fuel stop, and then you're going to go tumbling down this order. If you have to stop in the next 20 minutes, you're going to go tumbling down this order now that the field's compressed as well. So this is a real risky decision. If it pays off, it's glory. If not, and we've had the safety car spin out.
We have had the safety car
That's
spin
awkward.
out. Yeah, I just saw some smoke then and I'm like, wait, did the safety car spin? And it did. And as we like to classically do just before we restart, we're going to show Tim Lawson spinning the safety car because why not? He spun the safety car. It happens so rarely. And the Sudspeed safety car, its first appearance of the night, and he gave us a nice little drift down there at turn 11. So big thank you to him for giving us that piece of action. We're preparing ourselves though for the race restart. It's 24 minutes on the clock left to run. Are we going to get overtime in this race? Is there more dramas to come? Greg Barber gets us back underway. Green flag once again here at second to Barcelona-Catalunya. And it is a hot race start from the OPR McLaren.
And look at them all weaving, trying to get some heat into their tyres. Even though they most of them will have used tyres on, they will have lost a heap of temperature there. So this is a really critical lap to cycle your tyres back in and get these cars back running at full pelt quickly, or else you're susceptible to a pass here. Barber with an absolute barnstormer out the door there on the restart, protecting himself at least in the very early parts of this. In the background, Coleman already passed Wilder. He's one position down, 2 more to go to get back to the lead. He's making this happen quickly. Wilder might try to stay on the outside here, try and make it down the inside into turn 5. Not going to happen. Coleman has secured 3rd position and will continue to fly up this field. He's good on fuel, so he can just push this thing to the nth degree and chase down Vlahovic and Barber up ahead. So these guys in 1st and 2nd will be eyes in the mirror, looking back at Coleman, who we know have been leading this thing convincingly most of the night. So this will be really interesting to watch how he closes up in this next lap or two.
Well, if you recall pre-race, we spoke about the fact that Greg Barber could be a challenger this season. We know that he had a lot of bad luck last season here in the GT3 Limited Series, and if he didn't have that poor luck, he would have been in a much better position at the end of the season. Right now, he seems to have found the luck that he needed. He seems to have found the right side of the coin, but Vlahovic is putting all sorts of pressure onto the back of him. Now, what can the Kiwi Owen Coleman do back in P3? We know that he's the pace of the field. We know he's the measuring stick of the field this season. Can he get past them as well? He has got 22 minutes, 15 seconds to find it, but Daniel Piper has gone off the road with Michael Spithill back here at turn 13. In a monumental moment. They're still both moving here, but this is going to spice up the order incredibly hard. As you see there, off the road went Piper, caught it in the sand trap. Oh, sorry, no, it wasn't Piper that caught it in the sand trap. It was actually Spithill that did, but made the contact with Piper. That's dropped them both down the order. Rear wing's gone off the back of Piper's car, and that is a very quick way to end your race.
And these are the risks of the fuel compressing at this late stage of the race. Speaking of compressing, Vlahovic and Coleman have almost a literally 0.00 gap between the two of them. They'll go side by side here. Vlahovic trying to keep the nose in on Coleman. He does not want to give up 2nd place if he doesn't have to. Hold him wide here. Try and keep the inside line on board here with Coleman at the moment. They're still going to be side by side through this section here. Vlahovic going to hold him off for now as they go burning up the hill here. The run will be critical for Coleman. Wilder just behind, and an angry pack just behind them too. So these guys got to be careful how they battle. Vlahovic is going to hold off Coleman for the time being. Don't think we're in dive bomb territory just yet for this one, but man, every lap that goes by makes you think, is a crazy move out of the realm of what needs to happen in this one. For now, Vlahovic safe, but can't dip the tyre in the dirt again coming through the last turn as we come into the last sector here, because Coleman is there and he will pounce.
We're also going to mention too, not only has the intensity risen here on the elite class, it's also risen on the challenger class as well. Logan Murphy and now Jake Robillard, who was fighting in 2nd place for the challenger class, has gone off down at turn 12. And I was about to mention the fact that we had a change to the lead with Murphy taking it. But this has now significantly changed that podium as well. It's now promoted Brent Tucker onto the Challenger class podium. This is what happened to him. He was fighting in behind Murphy for the race lead, trying to hang on to his Ferrari here in P2 as Robillard lost the rear end off the road, straight in the wall for a hard piece of contact. As now as well, Mitch Hobbs has also gone off the road on board his Corvette down at turn 1-2. All of a sudden, a single safety car has completely shunned the field, as this is what happened to Richard Mayer. And so that was already Hobbs around. So Mayer, and this is messy up through turn 1, 2, and 3. How has this all happened to them?
This is just mayhem at this point. Like, they've all come back together, and it's just, this is the mentality. This is the sprint. They're just trying to get through. Actually, the field did a good job at not hitting Mitch Hobbs' park there down at turn 1. So we'll have a look here and see what's happened. So slight contact there for Hobbs as he goes wide. Then he gets hit by one of the Shield Code, the Revolution racing cars in the background there. And smart play there. He just parks it, lets all those cars go through. And in all that mess, then you've got Richard Mayer, who's been hit off to the side, or I don't think he got hit, he rather pushed off to the side there to avoid all the carnage. But this has just been crazy. Back to the lead of this field. Take a breath. Don't, because it's still absolutely intense up here. Vlahovic is doing a great job holding off Coleman. I was watching in the background during those replays. Coleman has been throwing every move he's got at him. Whatever he's got, he's been throwing. Vlahovic is saying, none of that, mate. I've seen this before. I've done it before. You can't get me. Part and parcel again. Breaks a little bit later. Coleman can't quite get down the inside confidently. This is helping Barber, though. This is creating just a little bit of gap and helping Barber. Every lap he gets closer. They're going to make contact side by side here. This might be all she wrote for Vlahovic, but you can go around the outside at turn 4. He's going to hold it there. Coleman pushing him out wide. He might be able to keep it there. Coleman's going to push him out wide, not give him any road at all. And Vlahovic will keep it there. He will get the position back on Coleman again. This is excellent racing between these two competitors.
What a great switch back there for Coleman as well through turn 5. Then he had to try and do something to get it back up the inside again, but couldn't quite carry the run past Vlahovic there. Jumps right over the sausage curb, does Coleman, though, up through the Schumacher S's and around now turn 9. Down towards the braking zone at turn 10. You mentioned it, though, it's only helping Greg Barber. That gap's him out to 1.1 seconds, and the more that they battle, the further that gap is going to spread. With less than 20 minutes on the clock, it is coming down to the wire here for the elite class and overall race win today. For Greg Barber, he sits in a solid position, but for Vlahovic and Coleman, they've got to try and maximise their positioning here. Again, they're battling for solid points. They're battling for the opportunity to put themselves in a solid championship position before the final round of the season, or not final round of the season, but before next round of this season for the Nürburgring in round 2. But this battle is intensifying up the front, but so is this one further back. Look at the train of cars back here. And Magri, what a comeback in this race. He's only down 2 from where he started, inside of the top 10. Steve Tonkin up the inside, though. Wants to be the heartbreaker to knock him back to P10. Through the corner where he's knocked off the road at turn 1. He backs out of it on the outside with Trott to the inside now. For Daniel Magri, it's all on the line to recover what was once lost at the start of this race. And right now, he's got the opportunity to do it. He's 3 positions away. What a recovery drive this could be if he gets this car back into P7 in the starting order at the end of this race.
Been an excellent recovery by Magri. We would have thought he was run and done at the end, in the sand and nearly in the wall at the end of lap 1. And instead, he's ended up back in the top 10. He's 3 down on where he started, but frankly, I think you'd call that a win for him tonight. Really great perseverance to end up where he is at the moment. And albeit still with a bit of racing to go here and some battling to go, and I'm sure he is going to have to fight hard to keep his position in this race, but he'll want to keep that top 10 alive, that's for sure.
Here we go, it's on for P2. Owen Coleman round the outside. Up at turn 11, bit of net contact, knocks him out the way. That allows Jack Vlahovic back up the inside and into P2 once again and again. They are bleeding the time to Greg Barber. It's out to 2 seconds out of the race lead. This is all for P2 because Vlahovic knows as soon as Coleman gets past him, it's over. He's not going to chase him down. So he's going to try and hold him back as much as he can and hope that Wilder decides to put an assault on. But look at the train. P2 down to all the way about P15 is this large train. As they enter the braking zone of turn 1, Vlahovic will hang on to position for now, but Coleman has got to find any which way he can to get past that Ferrari that's about as wide as the circuit here in the final 15 minutes of round number 1.
Yep, Vlahovic brought his local school bus to the track today with the size he's making that Ferrari feel all around this circuit, and I'm sure Coleman underneath the virtual helmet is getting very, very frustrated here, and Vlahovic is driving, I might add, perfectly. They both are in terms of defensive and offensive driving. This is a great display of two drivers going at it at the limit of what their cars and what their mentality can do without biffing each other off. We're seeing it again here, side by side. Vlahovic will gain the position back here, but will be under immense pressure from Coleman. Coleman is looking to go around the outside. No, he'll play smart. Good decision there. Wait until you get the run onto the straight here. And what this has all done is Barber's now 3 seconds up the road. With only 14 minutes left in this thing, that could be the gap that means the win for him at this rate. So Vlahovic now defending hard. He wasn't defending a couple of laps ago. Now he is. Wilder getting into the back of Coleman, letting him know, knock, knock, I'm here. This is bringing the rest of this pack in ever closer. A small mistake here will mean disaster for any one of these drivers. And so close to the end of the race, Coleman is up the inside, coming into the second last turn here. Can they keep it side by side? Coleman through for second. Wilder looking to try and go to the inside for third. Coleman finally through with 14 minutes to go in this 2-hour season 8 round 1 for PEL.
It's lap 60, and that small mistake of coming in a little bit too late into turn 12, that's what cost Vlahovic. It opened the door for Coleman to sneak on by and then finalise it at turn 13. And for Vlahovic, does he have enough to come back at the Mustang? And for the Mustang of Coleman, does he have enough time on the clock to chase down the now 3.5 second gap to Greg Barber in the race lead, and then get past him before the race end as well? You see Scott Rankin back there. He's flashing the lights. He's not happy with Leo Dreyer at this stage. He's got Doug down to the outside, makes the move happen. You see that Wilder as well is having a wider run, but this is a hot battle pack to keep an eye on, all being hodled by Leo Dreyer here inside of the top 10 as Gowans looks for an inside on Rankin, can't quite get the run, but it's a scramble for your Sunday night Premier Endurance League action for round number 1 here today. But Barcelona's turned it on, and all it took was a bit of safety car magic to bring everyone back together again.
And look at that. These guys, they took a breath, might have had a little bit of coffee or a little swig of whatever they prefer, and it set them off. They're ready to go. So this has been some excellent action. And outside of those first couple of laps after the safety car, pretty respectful, hard racing, which is exactly what we love to see here. I wish, I said this at the start of the race, I couldn't see how this race was going to pan out. My magic little ball trying to look into it, and I would not have predicted Barber to be winning this one over Coleman at this point, but that is the beauty of safety cars and strategy, and right now that is working beautifully. And in this mid-pack here, it's all to play for. We were chatting with Scott Rankin earlier, and his strategy was to try and get into the top 5. That dream is still alive right now. He's going to pass a couple of cars to make it happen. Dreyer and Hodges up ahead of him, and time is running out. He's just got to get a little bit closer to try and make this happen. But in the background, Gowans under pressure with Tonkin. Nothing going to happen there, but these guys are looking like something is about to blow up severe between them with how close they are nose to tail.
They're all trying to hang on to it here as best they can. Pressure has been applied immensely throughout this race. Further up, Nathan Hodges feeling the pressure here of Leo Dreyer as well. He looks to go down the inside at Repsol. Can't quite get the run that he wants there. Come the South African, and now Rankin trying to get by him. He can't get the run in that Logitech G Orbit drop bear car. As he tries to go for a switchback, he thought when we spoke to him this car was good enough for a top 5. He's got to put the pieces of the puzzle together though. He's got 2 cars separating him and P5 on the road, and they're the 2 cars directly in front of him of Leo Dreyer and Nathan Hodges in P6 and P5 on the road, respectfully. Gap is 3.15 seconds, and we have got just about 10 minutes to go. I don't know if there's enough time for Coleman to do this, and I tell you what, it's good to see Barber do well, knowing the sort of poor luck that he had last season, Brock. Knowing the bad luck that he had really hurt him last season. The fact, though, that he can come on so strong right now, find the luck that he needed today, and put this car in the race lead, it really it almost makes me feel happy for him at this point of the season, knowing that he can have this good luck early. Although John Trotty's teammates had no luck through the final corner, he's run it out into the sand trap and just struggling to get it back going again. But it really almost brings up the hunger for what this championship battle is going to be this season, Brock. Knowing that Barber's found the luck he needs, knowing that Coleman's got his pace, Vlahovic is as hungry as ever. Who could possibly win this championship this season? I mean, we're only going to find out in 4 rounds' time.
And look, you know what? That's the beauty of this series, is that it's never just one guy in the fight. You know, there's usually a heap of competition through the whole field, and then for that top 2 or 3, you've always got guys that are ready to fight. And I would not surprise me to see the likes of Barber, Coleman, Vlahovic, Wilder, Hodges, Dreyer. You know, these guys we've seen fighting it up there in that top 5 all day, really pushing each other to get better and better as the season goes on. So expect more from that. We're going to check in just quickly on the Challenger battle while we've got a mini breather here. It's still all going on. Logan Murphy is currently our leader, and on track at the moment we actually have Murphy, Johnson and Tucker, the top 3 of Challenger, in a line. You can see that Johnson's just behind Murphy there. Tucker a little bit further back on the track. Got to give a shout out to Tucker here. Really good drive, plus 11 on where he started, keeping it clean and putting himself on the podium of Challenger. That's a great result so far for him, and I'm sure he's hoping for a bit more carnage to try and take advantage of at the moment. His teammate Luke Capozza just up ahead of Logan Murphy here, and Murphy surely praying to not be involved in any of this silliness up ahead, with the little touches between Bird and Reardon as well, as they're coming through one of the fastest parts of the circuit to come around and complete yet another lap of this Catalunya circuit here in Spain. And they're just getting all of them pushing the limit, nearly in the sand out there, but not quite. Capozza looking racy here, coming down into turn 1. On Reardon, they're going to go side by side here. Capozza does have overlap. He will try and throw a move down the inside. Nope, he's going to pull out of this here. He doesn't want to go too crazy, but Reardon's giving him the space. Capozza's going to go through here. He played that safe, but Reardon gave him plenty of space for this late in the race, and Capozza will go through up into 13th position. Another plus 38 for Capozza on the night. I mean, that is an excellent run so far.
But you think about the run that he's had. What about the recovery run that Daniel Magri's had? He's technically up, 30, nearly 40 positions after he lost it earlier on, but Nathan Hodges has gone off the road. That's down at turn 5. Hodges, who was inside of the top 5, has gone off the road, and Scott Rankin has also gotten past Leo Dreyer now to get inside the top 5. It's 2. What is happening up here? Unbelievable that all this can happen so late in the race. It's less than 10 minutes to go, but this is how Nathan Hodges wound up off the road down at turn 5. We know he was defending Dreyer pretty hard. A bit of contact made there. Not much more he could do. Dreyer just came in a bit late. And contact with Hodges has knocked him out of the top 5. And now outside of the top 10 as Logan Murphy as well. Daniel Magri, no, the heartbreak! After the lap 1 heartbreak has dropped down the order, and the recovery has gone for nothing.
There's no words there. There's no words. Look at this. So Magri is keeping out of this. This is 2 other cars have made it 3 wide on him, and he's the innocent victim in all of that. That's such a shame for Magri after a great recovery. We were just singing his praises, and unfortunately he's kept going, but he's just lost so much out of that. Just a quick check-in. I know we've got some battling going on here, but a quick check-in on Owen Coleman, because he's 1.5 seconds behind Barber. So just on time, that gap has come down nearly 2 seconds just in the last 5 or 6 minutes. So he is chasing pretty severely right now, and I reckon we are on track to possibly get a bit of a battle between them towards the end of the race. But back to a battle that we are seeing on track right now between the likes of Gowans and Dreyer, with Rankin running up the road. The top 5 dream is alive and well. He's there right now, but Gowans and Dreyer are fighting it out for P6 at the moment, making side-to-side contact as I'll head down the hill now. Looks like Gowans will hold on to this one for now, but it is on for young and old here in the very, very closing stages of this race.
So important point as well is, so Logan Murphy was actually one of the perpetrators of that contact with Daniel Magri. There may be a penalty coming his way. So the race lead and the race winner Challenger class today could change based on what that penalty is to Logan Murphy. So we've got to keep an eye on what race control say and how that's going to affect this race, because Ben Johnson could still be our race winner just yet for that challenger class, and Brent Tucker could still be P2 at this stage as well. That gap's now down to 1 second from Barber to Coleman. There is just over 5 minutes to go. Is this going to be a 5-minute sword fight? A 5-minute battle for the ages for the race win between Greg Barber and Owen Coleman. As taking a little bit too far off the road there, Vlahovic, Wilder and Rankin all ran it wide at the final corner, but the top two, this battle looks to be on at the end of this lap, because at the rate that he's catching him, was a 41.9 the last lap, 42.4 for Barber at that time by, half a second difference. By the time they get to the end of this lap, Coleman is going to be all over him.
And Coleman is putting in the best lap times of the race at the moment, within a tenth of his best lap time that he's putting in. Now, Barber is pretty close to his best lap time as well, to be fair, but that Coleman is just putting in qualifying laps at the moment to try and get this thing up to the back of Barber and have a crack at the lead. So within a second now, and as you said, Hamish, give it about a lap. If Coleman's got that pace in the car, even running it a bit out wide there and doing some rallycross, guarantee you he will be there and try to make a move as we get to the last few laps.
So pretty significant moment here. Doug Gowans has had contact made with him from, that is once again Leo Dreyer. So 2 perpetrations for Dreyer on 2 separate cars now. That may give him a penalty as well coming his way. So race control are going to have their work cut out for them towards the end of this race. Plenty of incidents still being reported upon though. But the gap for the race lead is down to half a second with 4 minutes, less than 4 minutes on the clock now to go. This is going to be, what's it going to be when they cross the line? Roughly 3 minutes left. So I think about 2 more laps here, Brock. 2 laps for Greg Barber to defend against Owen Coleman. It's going to be about 3 minutes and 20 seconds at the start line. They might be on here for a 3rd lap, actually. We'll have to keep an eye on this, because this is going to be tight. Vlahovic has had to come into pit lane. He couldn't fuel save enough, so he's actually now dropped out of the top 10. Has Barber got enough fuel on board? The money says yes, he does, because he's been pushing. He's been pushing these last few laps. He hasn't been fuel saving. Where Vlahovic, who was involved in that battle with Coleman, has dropped so much fuel, he's had to come back down pit lane to get that Ferrari home. Podium's gone, top 10's gone, top 20's gone for Jack Vlahovic in that gamble. But there is 3 minutes left on the clock. Owen Coleman's right on the back of Barber, but the question is, when does he pounce? When does he try and make a move? And can he get the job done before the checkered flag flies here in Barcelona?
This is going to have to be a masterful defensive performance from Barber. Coleman clearly has the pace. Last lap alone, another half a second, 6/10 rather, in pace. Coleman is already up the inside here. Nope, excuse me. He was thinking about it. He didn't want to go there. That's smart. He knows he's got time here. He's got pace. It's about making the right move at the right time. So Barber will be absolutely driving in the mirrors right now to try and make something happen and try and win this race. It was such a good strategic move to stay out, and so far it's working for him. He's got the fuel on board. We can only assume so, the way he's racing here with Coleman. Coleman all over the back of him, trying to carry pace through the corners, and Barber holding him up. Here we go. This will be one of the key moments here of this race. How does Barber get through this last turn? How does Coleman get through there? Barber a little bit wide. He's going to get the dirt here. He will. That will hurt his run. Does Barber decide to defend, or will he wait and see what Coleman does? Barber erring a little bit over to the right side of the circuit, continuing to creep over, but Coleman hasn't got the run, so down into turn 1, Barber will still hold the lead. We haven't got the white flag yet, so I'm guessing we're going to go for 2 more around here.
That looks to me, Stephen Tonkin has also had to pit, knowing that he doesn't have enough fuel. I think he was expecting this to be the final lap. So 2 laps to go, 2 laps for Greg Barber to defend against Owen Coleman, and you would suspect that Coleman's going to wait for the last possible moment to make this move to limit the comeback for Greg Barber. He would have learnt things from Vlahovic when he was battling to get past him, of knowing where the defensive moves can be made and how strong the defensive moves can be used against you as well. And that will then dictate when he attacks and makes the move on Greg Barber. That's going to dictate when he chooses to do it, because it's not a point of if, it's a point of when. And is it going to be now at turn 9? He looks to poke the nose on the inside. Couldn't quite get the run that he needed onto the inside of Greg Barber. It's the McLaren versus the Ford. All on for it. Tried to dive up the inside. Barber looked to cover it here. Coleman, though, is going to try and switch this back if he can, but Barber parks it right on the apex to cover the move. He gets right to the inside, knowing that that's when Vlahovic threw it away only 15 minutes ago. And for Greg Barber, he's trying to defend for his absolute life. It'll be one lap to go here in Barcelona. They look to get the white flag this time, but no, it's going to be a checkered flag. This was the final lap around the final corner. They're going to get to the line before the timer was up, and it's Greg Barber who wins it in Catalunya. Coleman P2, Wilder P3, Rankin and Dreyer the top 5, Stapleton, Bird, Hodges, Capozza, and Logan Murphy will win it on the road today for the Challenger class, but will he win it in the post-race if there are penalties to be handed out? That was like Barber slowed it up then to get the checkered flag there, Brock, but what a race end and what a race win for him.
Absolutely. Entirely well deserved there. Took the strategy gamble and got that win fair and square. And you know what? He might have slowed up a bit to get that checkered flag because maybe he doesn't have the fuel in him to do another hot lap. But either way, excellent racing there. It was a perfect defensive drive once Coleman got to him. Coleman had the speed, but it's one thing getting up to the back of the car in front of you. It's a whole other thing passing it. And Barber did an excellent job all race to make this one work. Well done to him and Coleman and Wilder as well as your podium.
We've had no confirmation on if there is a penalty coming the way of Logan Murphy. But I'm just looking through the incident sheet now to see if there's previously been a penalty applied. And right now, Logan Murphy has 15 seconds to his name for an incident on lap 1. So that will give the race win to Benjamin Johnson, who's taken it on the timesheets and on the clock. No penalties next to Ben's name. So a clean race has gotten him a race win. Logan Murphy, unfortunately on lap 1, threw the race win away.
And that's the thing that happened. Great point. That happened on lap 1, that penalty for Logan Murphy, but it ended up losing him this Challenger win at the end of all of this, which is a shame, but that's how the cookie crumbles there. And great for Ben Johnson. You know what, Ben Johnson, he was right up there and about the whole day in that Challenger class as well, so a well-deserved result for him there. And Brant Tucker in third in the category as well in Challenger, raced his way through and kept it relatively clean as well among some pretty crazy competition that we were keeping an eye on through this race. So well-deserving top 3 in both classes in this one. An excellent final run to the end after that safety car non-stop action.
I mean, it was unbelievable, wasn't it, to see that race come together throughout that one as well. We're just trying to get everyone sorted here and get some B-roll happening for you before we obviously chat to our drivers here today as well. There we go. That'll get us right here. So let's have a quick look at our post-race results today for race number 1 of the season. As we'll look first to our Challenger class position. So Logan Murphy will take the win on the road, but it will actually be Ben Johnson who is our race winner here today due to a 15-second time penalty going the way of Logan Murphy. Brant Tucker will then finish P2. In behind him, Murphy will drop back off the podium. Gavin Simpson will actually be P3 on the road. Foster will be P4. Murphy will drop all the way back to P5. Ben Wilkes, Jake Robillard ahead of Brendan Purcell, Matt Gerard, Janice Ragwani as well for our top 10. Chris Ruddle, Ben Brook, Ben Baker ahead of Stefan Mellis, Nathaniel Coburn, Joe Hargraves ahead of Rafael Custodio, Daniel Coleman, Matthew Bakir, and Glenn Crellin at the back end of the first page. To the second page we go. We'll find ourselves with Ronald Long, Daniel Fritz, and Michael Thompson, unfortunately, at the back end of the field as well here today. To our elite class competitors today, it was Greg Barber taking the race win ahead of Owen Coleman, Benjamin Wilder. For the top 3, Scott Rankin, Leo Dreyer ahead of Trent Stapleton, Jack Bird, Nathan Hodges, Luke Capozza, John Trott, but we have a feeling that Dreyer may have some penalties coming his way. That may drop him outside of the top 10. Brad Coates will finish ahead of Tristan McLaren, Doug Gowans, Daniel Magri ahead of Rue Koistra, Adam Gardner to Jack Vlahovic to Richard Mann, Wade Reynolds, Michael Spithill as well for the top 20 today. to Stephen Tonkin, Mitch Hobbs, Martin Hallinan, to Daniel Piper, Kurt Chapman, Alfonso Latea, to Patrick Reardon, Magnus Rowney, Matt Webber for the top 29 cars in the order here today. That was it for the elite classification on today's running. We'll have a quick chat to our podium or race winner here today. Now, normally we would, I'm trying to think what we would normally do, Brock. I believe we normally only chat to the race winners of each class. So unfortunately for those that finished on the podium, they don't get to have a chat to us, because otherwise we're going to be here all day chatting to everyone, possibly. So I think we've got to have a quick chat to Ben Johnson first, because on the timing, he should be the race winner today for the Challenger class.
I don't think we've got Ben Johnson in the green room at the moment.
We don't, but he's in the ODBM room, so we're just going to force him in here with us. So
let's do it. Let's bring him down.
Yeah, I've got to find him again now. I've lost him. Here he is here. Let's drag him in. This is the beauty of being able to force people to chat to us. They don't get a choice. Ben Johnson, but he's immediately gone. Well then. You know what's happened there? What's happened is the moment where, I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you, Brock, where you actually go to join a channel and it doesn't join you straight away. It actually just like disconnects you immediately. So instead, we're going to wait for him to join the green room. Instead, we'll chat to our race winner first of all, in Greg Barber. Greg, welcome in. Race win for yourself. Congratulations. What a drive for you. Was there any fuel saving needed in that final run? And if there was it happening during that breakaway of you when Vlahovic was holding Mr. Coleman up for about 10 minutes? Have we got you, Greg? Well then.
Sorry.
Oh, there
you got me now?
Yes, we do. We do.
Yeah, sorry guys. Yeah, to answer your question, no, after the safety car, there was no fuel saving. There definitely was before that. But yeah, no, I was able to just push real hard and just watch the mirrors, watching that battle go on behind me while trying to get as big a gap as I could, because I knew when Owen got past Jack, and I knew he would be coming hard.
Well, I mean, you managed to put it all together here today to obviously get this race win. A lot of bad luck for you last season. Has there been anything that you've changed in between seasons to try and maybe better your percentages in the season? I mean, it's obviously whatever you've done, if you have done anything, has worked out for you because you got in the race win in round one. But have you just changed your luck or something, or what do you think was the big difference maker today compared to last season?
Yeah, just reflecting on last season, I think last season I tended to push a bit too hard on cold tyres. That's probably the main learning from last season that I'm trying to apply this season. So, yeah, just back it up a little bit more in those early laps and let the car come to me a bit more.
Well, we think you drove incredibly well, Greg. Knowing what's on the calendar this season, of course, the Nürburgring, Road Atlanta, Sebring, Daytona, what are you looking forward to most throughout the rest of this season now on that calendar?
Pretty much all of it, to be honest. Sebring, Daytona, two of my favourites, but yeah, no bad tracks.
That's good. I'm glad there's no bad tracks for your sake this season. Hopefully you can put it all together to take home another race win, or maybe multiple more race wins, and maybe take home this championship as well. Do you feel you can, or do you think there's work to be done against Owen throughout the rest of the season?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it goes. I think Owen's pretty fast. Just comes down to who makes less mistakes, I guess.
Well, Greg, we appreciate your time coming and have a chat to us. We wish you the best of luck throughout the rest of the season. Is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to before we let you go today?
Yeah, supporting Gamaflare One Performance Racing, Motec, Gamaflare Sim Racing, simrigs.com, and my own personal sponsor is Shunt Scenery. Also, big shout out to Night Rider Designs, where we get our liveries and so on.
Well, we appreciate your time, Greg. We wish you the best of luck throughout the rest of the season, and thanks so much for coming and have a chat to us. Congratulations on the race win today.
No worries, mate. I've got to go up the steward's room now.
Well, we wish you the best of luck going up there.
See you guys.
It is Greg Barber. Now, Brock, we have a choice here. We can either not chat to anybody else because we've lost Ben Johnson, or we could chat to his teammate, Scott Rankin, as a representative of Logitech G Orbit Drop Bear for his teammate who's actually won the race in Ben Johnson today. Do we want to do that?
Yeah, you know what? Let's have a bit of a chat there to one Mr. Scott Rankin and check in with how his race went and how Ben's race went as well.
Okay, very good. Mr. Rankin, you are very lucky today because you've been dragged in as the representative of Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport because Mr. Ben Johnson is, we've lost him. We tried to drag him in to chat with us earlier. We tried to force his hand and he wasn't, he came in and then he left. So it was, very weird, very awkward. We missed out. But now you get to be the representative for your team. How does it feel for Ben to get that race win? But how does it feel for you, Scott, to get that top 5 that you got as well? A solid day on the points for Orbit Drop Bear here today at Barcelona.
We were just talking about it, actually. We think it's Barbs is going to go and have a chat to stewards because he just wants some clarification around. There was something that happened on lap 1, but he ended up with like 25 seconds penalties. Actually, it ends up being a third outright. But either way, Ben was in and amongst the weeds. He was in struggle street in different aspects of that race. Like basically when I was talking to you guys in the middle of the race, it was much the same for him. It was just sort of, what can we do? How can we go about it? Except for he was just a touch worse on tyres in the same hole that I was in. So, it's just utilize all those levers that you've got access to. And he had to come a little bit earlier for strategy, which meant that we, weren't able to make the play for staying out and making it home on fuel. Like, shout out to Barbs and the guys that did that. I think there was a couple cars that did, and I think actually Barbs was the only one to actually pull it off with the 2-stopper. So big shout out to him. He played that perfectly. Actually, sorry, my apologies. I think Nathan Hodges did as well. But that pack was just a mess. There was just that restart and that last 10 laps was go hard. Look what you can try and do. I just muted everyone on Discord, and I'm fairly certain Ben did as well. It was chaos. Chaos in a bottle is probably not the right words for it. Like it's just racing, and the problem is we're all struggling with dirty air. We're all struggling for bite. We're all struggling for tires that are going off, and everyone's managing that in different ways. I just said to Ben Wilder as well. I mean, he blocked like an absolute trooper on that last lap for position as well. So good shows of racing up and down the field. I definitely have to expend some apologies to, I think, Doug Gowans. I chopped his nose a couple times as well, and I just wanted to apologize to him. I actually made contact with him at one point, and Doug and I have raced each other. It's new season, everybody's struggling. I think one of the trickier things tonight was the difference between turn-in points because these corners are so wide and the track is so wide. You kind of have to turn in before the corner a little bit to get it tracking towards the apex. So turn-in points were really tough to read for a lot of different guys, but squabbling up and down the field, just good fun, good racing. So,
well, very interesting. I'm just looking at the penalty sheet now. There's a lot more time penalties than what I thought for certain drivers. So Logan Murphy, who obviously won the race on the track, has given up a lot more time to Ben Johnson, the first anticipated, and dropped him well in the order. And then, the fact that we missed actually that Greg Barber also had a time penalty meant that Owen Coleman still wins the race. So in fact, Brock, we will also get to chat to Owen Coleman today. Is there anything that you want to ask or say to Scotty before we let him go, though?
Scott, I just wanted to say well done, mate. You were talking about the top 5 dream, and despite some of the nuttiness of that back end of the race, you managed to sneak one in there and get past some of the craziness. Look, really briefly, because we do want to get to Owen as well, but just talk us through what it was like for you in the cockpit, avoiding some of those incidents to try and make it through, because in those last 10 minutes, you could have been taken out in an instant.
Well, it's first and foremost, I think this is actually probably where my NASCAR background really actually helps quite a lot. Just being in packs and recognizing what you can and what you can't do. There's probably a couple guys who were, like I was talking about, turning points for corners. I think there's probably one individual, I won't name him because I'll go away and have a chat with him individually, and we'll have a chat about turning points and that sort of thing, because that's just, to me, that's the best way to do it. But it's just, what are people doing? Why are they doing it? What are they trying to achieve? And I think it's the big thing, the best way to get a move done was actually about 5 corners before you got the move done. It was and I'm just talking to Ben Wilder about it. He was obviously very, very weak. So if I'd have gotten to him, it was do everything I can to get his rear to move around, get him to overdrive a corner entry. Because as soon as you overdrive a corner entry, he would have had to catch a snap, and that's the pass done. So if I can't do that, look for drive off, and it's just attacking him in different ways. So I think the pack that I was in, I think it was Hodges, No, I think it might have been John Trott and Leo Dreyer. There was a couple guys that were riding ahead of me, and I was sort of chopping Gowan's nose in behind me a little bit, and a couple other guys and bits and pieces like that. But it was get them to want to cover me so I can open up the corner and try and have a crack at them on exit. But the biggest issue with this place is the last two corners are so fast, and to be honest with you, that's where my car was strongest. But we were so weak down the straight that I couldn't, do anything with it. And then dirty air was a struggle. It's just that was a tricky race to pass with, but a lot of lessons learned, I think, and they'll be passed back on to the Open boys in a couple of weeks.
Well, you drove an incredible race today, Scott. We appreciate your time. We wish you the best of luck at the Nürburgring in the next round of the season on August 16th.
Can I get you to say that one again? What track are we going to?
The Nürburgring.
The Nürburgring?
The Nürburgring.
Nürburgring. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Try pronouncing the Nürburgring in German. It's the Nürburgring.
We're in Australia, mate.
We are, but international track names dictate international pronunciations.
You don't let him get away with this stuff, do you, Brock? You don't let him.
I would never.
Don't worry. After the next race, it's Road Atlanta, Sebring, Daytona, all American swing. So you only get one more round of European track pronunciation. Could be worse. Could be going to Bangsayan.
Guessing you want me to read out the sponsors, mate. We'll lead into that, shall we?
Yes. Yes.
Save you from yourself. Right, a big shout out to Logitech G, iLiveries, Revolution Race Gear, and Coasty Engineering Solutions, Sam Blackhawk Meter. I think he's got a couple of cool photos to take after this one. Hybrid Racing Simulations, Flight CRC, and Harry Lillis Sim Coaching.
Well, thank you so much for coming and have a chat to us, Scott. Appreciate your time. We wish you the best of luck next time out in round 2 this season.
I don't appreciate your time. You're a flog and a wobbler, and I love you for it.
Well, not only that, if we don't get to speak to you in the next one, I at least get to spend my birthday weekend with you at the next round of TSS. So that'll be a fun time anyway. So
see you, brother.
We'll see you next time. Thanks so much, Scott. Appreciate it. Next up and finally, he's an absolute character, isn't he, Brock? Absolute character is Scott Rankin.
He is.
We have our reel on the time clock race winner today in Owen Kelman. Now, Owen, we completely overlooked the fact that you'll watch the end of this race back and you'll see that we announced Greg Barber as the race winner. Completely ignore that because we completely ignored the fact that he actually had a 15-second time penalty next to his name for contact earlier in the race. So actually, you were the race winner today. Congratulations. But he is going to go challenge that to race control. So we'll see what happens in that one. But nonetheless, a good race win for you. In behind him, but a lot of pressure on your back. How was it trying to get past Jack Vlahovic? Because he made that Ferrari about as wide as a BMW M8 in the GTE class around this place. It was unbelievable.
Probably not words suitable for broadcast.
Sure, there was some frustrations.
Yeah, had a bit of contact coming into the. It might have been like the third to last corner, and I sort of had that bug where if you slide the rears, it just feels like it loses all the grip. So I had like a massive lose of the rear. I was like, Jesus Christ. So I sort of had to just try and get as close as I could to him, and then when he started drifting wide on a couple corners, I just had to try and jam it up in there, and I was just like, well, if you don't want contact, we'll play like that. So
well, I mean,
I just didn't want to spin him out. So there's a few times I probably could have dived him, but I'm just like, no, just don't want to finish it like that.
Well, I mean, you drove spectacular. Obviously, you're a little bit unlucky last season not to be here and challenge for the championship. But this season, you're the heavy favourites to take out this title. Is there any doubts in your mind that you could possibly win this season, or do you think it's going to be work to be done, or is there going to be a round you miss? I suppose if there's one you miss, you at least have a drop round. But how are you feeling going into this season?
I'm just playing it round by round. I'm just trying to keep my consistency going, and just try not to make any stupid moves during the races. So just trying to keep the consistency up is the main thing.
Well, I think that's the most important thing, right? Consistency is always the main key when you're trying to take home a championship. I mean, I've seen a few times now a driver can win a championship without even winning a single race in their season, just by being purely consistent. And that is a major factor, I think, especially with sports car racing as well. I mean, Brock, I'm sure you can attest to that. I mean, it's, being a previous driver in the series, if you can be consistent, you're going to find the results you need, and you very likely could find the championship.
Oh, absolutely. And Owen, mate, I reckon, I'm not going to say you're the one. I'm just going to say you're one of my favourites for it. Having raced against you in the series, mate, you are a hardcore racer. You got speed underneath you, mate. And tonight was just an example of that. So well done to you, man. And I know 5 rounds, it takes a little while because it's over a few months, but I'm excited to see what you can do this season, man.
No, I appreciate it, bro. It's just trying to make sure I keep them coming together. So that's the goal. Not looking at the end of season thing anytime soon. It's just round by round, just keep the consistency.
Well, we'll see what happens for you, Owen. We appreciate your time. You did so well here today, obviously, to chase down the race lead. You'll get the race lead on the timesheet at the very least post-race, and that should give you the lead of the championship as well. But is there anyone that you want to give a shout-out to before we let you go today?
Yes, Sam over at Straight Line Industrial. Again, they put together an awesome car. It was just on rails. The guys over at Sudspeed, Chris and Richard, they awesome pair of gloves. So if you guys ever need anything, head over to Sudspeed. And Foz over at Noob Collectibles. If you guys need any collectibles like Marvel, DC, or anything like that, go hit them up, and I'm sure you'll sort you out. And obviously, you guys in the booth and everyone that puts the league together.
We appreciate your time, Owen. We wish you the best of luck next time at the Nürburgring. Thank you so much for coming over to chat to us, and congratulations on the race win today.
Cheers, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
No worries. Thanks so much. Unfortunately for Ben Wilder and Brant Tucker, they are not going to get their interviews on the podium today, because normally we would only speak to the race winner. But there's been so much confusion around the race winners today, we've had to speak to extra people. So unfortunately, that's just the way it goes here today. But Brock, what an opening round it was for this season. I mean, Barcelona-Catalunya, Barcelona really turned it on for us, and the Nürburgring next time is going to be one to keep an eye on in the middle of August, come August 16th.
Yep, if that's what we've got to look forward to for the rest of this season, I tell you what, I'm going to be strapped in with belts on in my desk chair, ready to commentate the heck out of this, because that was so exciting. Round 2, I might add, a completely different circuit in the Nürburgring as well. Like, it is so different to Catalunya in every way. So these guys are going to have to come at their race in such a different approach to get the speed out of each of their respective cars. So I'm excited. It was great to commentate alongside you, Hamish, for the first time tonight. And I say, bring on the rest of the season together. Well,
it's going to be fantastic across the next few months, leading all the way to the 22nd of November. The final round at Daytona International Speedway. It's a calendar where each circuit is different than the next or the last. Catalunya's one of its own. The Nürburgring is one where it's tight, it's technical, it's off camber, it can be quite deadly at the best of times, and drivers are going to have to be cautious of that. Road Atlanta, that's tight and technical as well, but it's a lot more fast-paced and a little bit more forgiving, but there's a lot less passing opportunities. Sebring, of course, very fast, but though the different track the combination of different compounds on the track of the concrete composite, the concrete, and then also the tarmac that lays that circuit into its groundwork is what is going to be the challenge. And then, of course, the super speedway, the road course of Daytona, is going to throw out a heap of challenges to these drivers come the end of the season. You can catch it all on August 16th, September 13th, November 1st, November 22nd. Those are the next 4 rounds for the rest of this season for 2026, before we'll get started for 2027, not too long after that as well. We appreciate everybody, though, for joining us here today, of course, and appreciate all your time. Next time we'll be on your screens for the GT3 Limited Series. It'll be at the Nürburgring for the World Endurance Championship layout of the Grand Prix circuit, as we'll find ourselves ready to battle once again for 2 hours on the clock. Coming up on your screens for PEL action is the first round of the Open Series coming up next week, right here at Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. You can find the action via the SimSpeed boys getting involved in the broadcasting action here on the Premier Endurance League channel. For myself, Hamish and Brock Kadai alongside, appreciate your time. We'll give a big shout out, of course, to the series sponsors Dash Offroad, Sudspeed Gloves, Scorsa, Podium Printworks, and Horsley Park Gun Shop as well. You can help support us here on Infinity Broadcasting by clicking the like button to subscribe, the bell icon too over on our YouTube channel, so you're notified whenever we go racing with Highside Motorsports, V8 Veterans action for Split 2, and as well Premier Endurance League 2. You can also hit the like button to subscribe, the bell icon too, right here on the Premier Endurance League channel, so you're notified whenever we go racing with the GT3 Limited or GT3 Open Series as well. Thank you all so much for joining us here for round 1 of Season 8, live from Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. We'll see you guys next time out at the Nürburgring. But until then, stay safe, drive hard, and as always, bye for now.
our time. We know what we gotta do. Stay in the fight. Keep between the walls.
Time to turn the intensity up.
Fight to the end, no matter what happens. Good day to be in victory lane.
Green flag is in the air.
Driving with conviction.
Side by side, hammer down.
Mr. Jensen will count out anybody who wants it the most.
We are eyes on the leader now.
He is driving his guts out. Wheel to wheels, they come to the line. Victory this will be.
Nobody wants it more than you.
That flag is going to end it.
Does he have enough? Holy cow! A dominant performance.
You're gonna say no, baby. Let's go!
Can you believe what you are seeing? Everybody pushing as hard as they can. Get it. One final shot.
Gotta earn this thing. Run here to the end.
It is all on the table.
A total 500.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.